Chapter 2060. When Bu Hong was only a foot away from Duanling Tian, a vast energy surged out like a giant beast with its mouth wide open in an attempt to devour Duanling Tian. Elementary devouring tactic. Black Turtle's barrier. In just an instant, the Sun Saint energy that had been accumulating in Duanling Tian's body surged out and formed a whirlpool that devoured the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings, causing his Sun Saint energy to skyrocket. Following that, the skyrocketing Sun Saint energy spread out and formed a gigantic black turtle silhouette around Duanling Tian's body. Although it was only a silhouette, it was extremely sturdy. It was formed by Duanling Tian's Sun Saint energy. This technique was the #1 defensive divine ability of Zoroastrianism, the Black Turtle's barrier. Boom, 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 boom. The moment the Black Tortoise's shield appeared, the boundless power from Bu Hong landed heavily on the Black Tortoise's silhouette, causing a series of rumbles that sounded like endless thunder. When the thunderous booms resounded in the air, the space around the Black Turtle's silhouette began to tremble. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Water-like ripples gradually spread out, setting off waves of wild winds that blew the robes of the surrounding onlookers, causing them to flutter. Many Saint Lan disciples who were standing close to the scene even had their headbands and hairpins broken by the wind. Their hair that had lost its restraint was like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins as it charged toward Feng Qingyang. Under the watchful eyes of the others, the Black Turtle's silhouette around Duanling Tian's body shattered under Bu Hong's attack. Naturally, it still managed to hold on for quite some time. A powerhouse at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage is really extraordinary. Duanling Tian could not help but praise Bu Hong inwardly when his divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, was destroyed. In fact, his current cultivation base was no longer at the early exemplary saint stage like before he joined the enforcement hall. In this 1 month, he had made 2 breakthroughs and raised his cultivation base to the mastery exemplary saint stage. After his cultivation base had been elevated to the mastery exemplary saint stage, his Sun Saint energy had also been elevated to the mastery quintessential saint stage. Coupled with the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, his Sun Saint energy was comparable to the saint origin of an ordinary powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage. In addition, his divine ability, Black Tortoise's barrier, had also made a breakthrough in the past month. Compared to the past, the strength of the defense was incomparable. However, even so, he could not block Bu Hong's furious attack. Of course, Duanling Tian knew that this was not Bu Hong's true strength. Bu Hong had yet to use his saint weapon. 10,000 Swords territory. When Bu Hong destroyed his divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, Duanling Tian instantly consolidated his 10,000 Swords territory. Swoosh. The 10,000 Swords territory shrouded Duanling Tian and Bu Hong. The dazzling golden territory blocked the sight of the Saint Lan disciples, including Wen Yin who had retreated to the distance. They could not see what was going on inside at all. Territory? When Bu Hong was shrouded by Duanling Tian's territory, he could not help but smirk disdainfully. His saint origin vibrated before it transformed into an armor made of pure saint origin. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Tens of thousands of golden sword rays shot out from Duanling Tian's 10,000 Swords territory. After destroying Bu Hong's attack, the golden sword rays continued to land on Bu Hong's body. However, they could not even penetrate Bu Hong's armor. A defensive divine ability? Upon seeing this, Duanling Tian could not help but narrow his eyes when he realized Bu Hong had cast a defensive divine ability. Moreover, this defensive divine ability was not simple. It should not be an intermediate-grade defensive divine ability. Duanling Tian, although my defensive divine ability is not as good as your defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, it's still a high-grade defensive divine ability. Your territory isn't strong enough to break my defense. Bu Hong said coldly, I have to admit that you're quite strong. Unfortunately, you've met me, Bu Hong. Even if I can't kill or cripple you due to the sex rules today, I'll still humiliate you in front of everyone and make you wish you were dead. Not only will I slap you 1,000 times, but I'll also make you crawl between my legs. A hint of coldness could be heard in Bu Hong's voice when he said this. I'd like to see how you, Duanling Tian, will be able to hold your head up high in the Zoroastrianism when that time comes. This is the price you have to pay for humiliating my junior sister and attacking her in front of me. Bu Hong's words made it seem as though he was certain he would defeat Duanling Tian. Give me 1,000 slaps? You'll make me crawl between your legs? Duanling Tian narrowed his eyes when he heard Bu Hong's words. A cold light flashed in his eyes. At this moment, a wave of killing intent rose from Duan Lingtian's body. It was directed at Bu Hong. Then I'd like to see if you, Bu Hong, have the ability to do that. Duan Lingtian's voice turned colder at this moment, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop by a few degrees. I'll let you see it right away. Bu Hong sneered when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then Saint Origin surged out of his body. Blood chi could be vaguely seen emanating from his body as he prepared to cast the divine ability of the Azure Dragon Sanctum, one of the 4 symbols sanctums of Zoroastrianism. The divine ability of the Azure Dragon Sanctum was similar to the inherited divine ability of the dragons, the true body Berserk transformation. After the Berserk transformation, regardless of whether it was one's strength or speed, it would be greatly enhanced. Naturally, the aftereffects were not small. You don't have a chance anymore. Duan Lingtian said coldly when Bu Hong was preparing to cast the divine ability of the Azure Dragon Sanctum. His tone was firm as though he was the judge of this battle. In the next moment, Bu Hong cast the divine ability of the Azure Dragon Sanctum. Blood chi emanated from his body as the effect of the divine ability was about to be cast on him. All of a sudden, at this critical moment, swoosh, the sound of a sword whistling in the air rang in Bu Hong's ears like a ghost. It caused him to feel a chill in his heart, causing him to be distracted. For this reason, the effect of the divine ability of the Azure Dragon Sanctum did not appear on him in time. At the same time, Bu Hong felt excruciating pain in his arms and legs as though something had pierced through them. The 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage was also known as the Spiritual Eyes form. Once one broke through to the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage, not only would one's Saint Origin improve, but one's eyes would also transform into the Spiritual Eyes. The Spiritual Eyes granted a powerhouse at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage the ability to see through everything. Bu Hong calmed down when he felt the excruciating pain in several places on his body. He narrowed his eyes and saw a ridiculously fast sword shadow returning to Duan Lingtian's side and disappearing into the air. From the beginning until the end, Bu Hong could only see the afterimage of the sword shadow. He could not see what kind of sword it was at all. Although Bu Hong could not see the sword clearly, he could vaguely sense it was extraordinary. **T. When Bu Hong's attention shifted to the sword, a flash suddenly appeared before his eyes. It was Duan Lingtian with a pair of golden flaming wings on his back. He appeared in front of him at an extremely fast speed. He instinctively wanted to make a move, but he felt excruciating pain in his arms and legs, causing his movements to slow down. At this moment he realized he was injured. Moreover, his injuries were quite serious. Soul attack. As soon as Duan Lingtian appeared in front of Bu Hong saw a ray of light in the shape of a divine dragon shooting out of Duan Lingtian's left eye. In just a blink of an eye, the ray of light pierced Bu Hong's glabella and headed for his soul. Although Bu Hong's soul was strong and could easily withstand Duan Lingtian's soul attack, he was still shocked by Duan Lingtian's attack. At the same time, the armor on Bu Hong's body that was formed by a high-grade defensive divine ability dimmed a little. Boom. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as he swung his palm out. The sound of wind and thunder could be heard in the air as it landed on Bu Hong's armor. Crack. Bu Hong's armor shattered instantly. Following that, Duan Lingtian's palm landed on Bu Hong's head, knocking him out. Huolao, is there anyone with a cultivation base at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage outside my territory? Duan Lingtian immediately contacted Huolao, who was in the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, and asked anxiously. A hint of anxiety could be seen in Duan Lingtian's eyes when he asked Huolao. No. Huolao replied after a while. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he heard Huolao's reply. Then he looked at Bu Hong, who had fainted and was still in his hand. Huolao, help me devour his innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up as he spoke. Apart from being a true disciple who was ranked 2nd on the true ranking for Zoroastrianism, Bu Hong was also ranked at the 421st place on the Supreme Saint ranking. Since he was a true disciple, he could be considered as one of the younger generation of Zoroastrianism since he was still young. As the number 2 prodigy of Zoroastrianism, Bu Hong's innate talent in the martial Tao was extraordinary. Moreover, he possessed an indigo innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian had heard about this before. Chapter 2061. If I can devour Bu Hong's innate spiritual root. Even if my innate spiritual root doesn't become indigo, it'll still be able to transform into a dark blue innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly as he looked at Bu Hong in his hand. At that time, my innate spiritual root will only be a step away from becoming an indigo innate spiritual root. The moment he thought of this, Duanling Tian felt a surge of excitement in his heart. With Hualao's help, Duanling Tian cast the elementary devouring tactic and devoured Buhong's innate spiritual root to strengthen his own innate spiritual root. Earlier, he had asked Hualao to check if there was anyone at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage spying on them. This was because people at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage could see through his 10,000 swords territory with their spiritual eyes. If someone could see through his 10,000 swords territory, it would be inconvenient for him to devour Buhong's innate spiritual root. Since there was no one at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage spying on them, there was nothing for him to worry about. Soon after, Duanling Tian devoured the unconscious Buhong's innate spiritual root. As expected, Buhong's innate spiritual root had transformed into a dark blue innate spiritual root. He was only a step away from becoming an indigo innate spiritual root. I didn't expect to gain so much before leaving Zoroastrianism. I feel like I only need to devour 1 or 2 green innate spiritual roots to transform my innate spiritual root into an indigo innate spiritual root after I leave Zoroastrianism. Duanling Tian's heart raced when he thought of this. It took a long time for him to calm down. Buhong, you can only blame yourself for being blind. I hope you won't go crazy when you realize you've become a cripple. Duanling Tian said indifferently as he glanced at Buhong who was in his hand. Duanling Tian did not feel guilty about devouring Buhong's innate spiritual root. Buhong wanted him to crawl between his legs, right? Then he would cripple his martial talent. In the Tao martial saint land, a person without an innate spiritual root was equivalent to being a piece of trash. It would be difficult for him to improve his cultivation base. At the same time, Duanling Tian withdrew his 10,000 swords domain. After Duanling Tian withdrew his 10,000 swords territory, he reappeared in front of the Saint Land's disciples, including Wen Yan. The latter's eyes widened in shock when they saw him. This was because the scene before them was simply too shocking. Duanling Tian was not only safe and sound, but he was also carrying Buhong. Buhong seemed to have fainted. Moreover, Buhong's 4 limbs were still bleeding. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. In an instant, most of the Holy Ground's disciples were dumbfounded. Shock and disbelief filled their faces, and they couldn't recover from their shock for a long time. Senior brother. Wen Yan was the first to regain her senses. Horror dawned on her face when she regained her senses. Her voice trembled as she asked Duanling Tian, what did you do to my senior brother? Don't worry. Duanling Tian glanced at Wen Yan indifferently and said calmly, just your senior brother's life isn't enough for me to violate the sect's rules and exchange my life for his. He has merely fainted. However, if no one helps him stop the bleeding, he might die from excessive blood loss. When Duanling Tian reached the end of his sentence, he raised his hand and tossed Buhong to Wen Yan as though he was throwing trash. Wen Yan, naturally, hurriedly reached out to catch him. After confirming Buhong was still alive, she hastily helped him stop the bleeding. It would be fine if Buhong was already dead. However, the problem was Buhong was still alive. If he died from blood loss in her hands, it would be her responsibility. She could not bear this responsibility. Second on the true ranking? Ranked 421st on the Supreme Saint ranking? At the same time, Duanling Tian looked at Buhong who was in Wen Yan's hands with disdain as he said disdainfully, that's all there is to it. After saying that, Duanling Tian left the area and returned to his residence without looking back. After Duanling Tian left, the group of Saint Land disciples who were present finally regained their senses. Oh my God! Senior brother Buhong was seriously injured by Duanling Tian and even fainted? One of the Holy Land's elite disciples swallowed hard and said with some difficulty, I'm not dreaming, right? Slap. As soon as the Saint Land elite disciple finished speaking, his companion raised his hand and gave him a slap. Then, he looked at the Saint Land elite disciple who was glaring at him and asked innocently, does it hurt? Slap. He immediately raised his hand and slapped his companion's ear as he asked angrily, does it hurt? It hurts. His companion was on the verge of tears. He said with an aggrieved expression on his face, it seems like I'm just like you. I'm not dreaming. Many of the Saint Land elite disciples were amused by the conversation between the two of them. However, when the 2 Saint Land elite disciples did this, many of the Saint Land elite disciples who thought they were dreaming confirmed it. They were not dreaming. Everything that had happened earlier was real. I've already told you that senior brother Duanling Tian will definitely be able to turn the tables. That's right. Senior brother Duan Lingtian has never been at a disadvantage in the Zoroastrianism. He hasn't been at a disadvantage in the past and he won't be at a disadvantage now. If senior brother Duan Lingtian is at a disadvantage, it'll have to be a Silver Flame Elder. It seems like it'll have to be a Silver Flame Elder who's much stronger than Bu Hong. I think so too. The few Saint Lan disciples who had confidence in Duan Lingtian earlier were elated. Just now no one believed their words. Now who would dare to doubt their words? At the same time, Wen Yen brought the unconscious Bu Hong away with a gloomy expression on her face. When she left, she did not even need to turn around to feel the strange gazes on her. She was so angry that she felt as though her lungs were about to explode. Duan Lingtian, I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Wen Yen, who felt extremely humiliated, roared in her heart as she led Bu Hong away. All of a sudden, Wen Yen seemed to have thought of something as she looked at the unconscious Bu Hong. If I crippled senior brother, wouldn't that Duan Lingtian be severely punished by the enforcement hall? The moment Wen Yen thought of this, she wanted to cripple Bu Hong and push the blame to Duan Lingtian. Just as she was about to make her move, a thought flashed in her mind. She stopped moving as though she had thought of something. No. If that Duan Lingtian swears on the lightning penalty oath that he didn't cripple senior brother, won't the enforcement hall suspect me? Wen Yen had decided to hold back because she had thought of this. If the law enforcement hall were to suspect her and she did not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath to prove her innocence, then she would really be shooting herself in the foot. Although Wen Yen did not make her move in the end, her thoughts were enough to show that she was someone who would do anything to achieve her goals. This was similar to when she reported Ganru Yen. Useless trash. At the same time, Wen Yen vented all her anger on Bu Hong as she looked at the unconscious Bu Hong and scolded him coldly. He wondered what Bu Hong's expression would be if he found out that his beloved junior sister had tried to cripple him and push the blame to Duan Lingtian while he was unconscious. Moreover, she had even called him trash. Naturally, it was impossible for him to find out. After Duan Lingtian returned to his residence, news of him defeating Bu Hong, who was ranked second on the true ranking, spread like wildfire in the Saint Land of Zoroastrianism. The entire Saint Land was in an uproar. Duan Lingtian defeated senior brother Bu Hong? Is this for real? As it turns out, Duan Lingtian is ranked 4th on the true ranking and 537th on the Supreme Saint ranking. I doubted he had the ability to defeat senior brother Bu Hong. I didn't expect him to be able to defeat senior brother Bu Hong today. What kind of monster is Duan Lingtian? He has just joined the Zoroastrianism for less than a year, but he's already so freakish. Senior brother Bu Hong is ranked 2nd on the true ranking and 421st on the Supreme Saint ranking. Today he was defeated by senior brother Duan Lingtian. His ranking on the true ranking and Supreme Saint ranking will be replaced by senior brother Duan Lingtian. That's right. Senior brother Bu Hong's ranking on the true ranking will drop by 1 place, and his ranking on the Supreme Saint ranking will change with senior brother Duan Lingtian. It's all thanks to senior brother Duan Lingtian that he entered the Supreme Saint ranking. Otherwise, his name would be removed from the Supreme Saint ranking. Discussions broke out everywhere in the Saint Land of Zoroastrianism. The topic of discussion revolved around the true ranking and the Supreme Saint ranking. The true ranking was a ranking in Zoroastrianism. Nobody in Zoroastrianism thought Bu Hong was faking it when he was defeated by Duan Lingtian. However, the Supreme Saint ranking was a ranking that targeted the entire Dao Martial Saint Land. Outsiders might think Bu Hong and Duan Lingtian were faking it. For this reason, Bu Hong's ranking on the Supreme Saint ranking would not drop by 1 place after he was defeated. Instead, he would change places with Duan Lingtian. However, if Duan Lingtian did not have a ranking on the Supreme Saint ranking and defeated Bu Hong's name would become famous after he took Bu Hong's place on the Supreme Saint ranking. This was the rule of the Supreme Saint ranking. There were almost no loopholes. That evening, on the independent island where Duan Lingtian stayed outside the Saint Island, a green-clad old man appeared out of thin air like a ghost. This was an old man with a ruddy complexion. He had a kind expression on his face and he had a sage-like bearing. This little fellow is really formidable. Not only did he not suffer any losses in the enforcement hall, he even defeated the second ranked on the true ranking Bu Hong, after leaving the enforcement hall. To think that Ru Yen asked someone to send a message to me and ask me to take care of this little fellow. Chapter 2062. The green-clad old man muttered to himself. He was none other than Ganru Yan's master, one of the 3 guardians of Zoroastrianism. Jinghua. About a month ago, Qinghua had received a voice transmission jade token from his direct disciple, Ganru Yen, through someone. Rending? Ganru Yen had asked him to protect a person. The person was Duan Ling Tian, and he was currently on duty in the enforcement hall. Qinghua had heard of Duan Ling Tian before this, but he did not know much about him. When he received the voice transmission jade token from his direct disciple, he deliberately went to find out more about Duan Ling Tian. He could not help but click his tongue when he learned about Duan Ling Tian. A new disciple who had only joined Zoroastrianism for less than a year had actually caused so much trouble in Zoroastrianism. Moreover, he had offended many high-ranking officials in Zoroastrianism. Most importantly, he had offended Dong Yuanjin, the vice hall master of the enforcement hall. Dong Yuanjin was one of the strongest Golden Flame elders in Zoroastrianism. Since then, Qinghua had been paying attention to the enforcement hall. However, he discovered that Dong Yuanjin, the vice hall master of the enforcement hall, had not made any moves. However, as one of the three guardians of Zoroastrianism, Qinghua soon learned that Dong Yuanjin had not made any moves. It was not that Dong Yuanjin had not made any moves. Instead, it was because the first Silver Flame elder, Tian Dong, whom Dong Yuanjin had found for his son, Dong Lin, had been intimidated by Duan Ling Tian. Not only was he intimidated by Duan Ling Tian, but he had even witnessed Dong Lin being beaten up by Duan Ling Tian. After learning about this, Qinghua had become interested in Duan Ling Tian, whom he had never met before. However, he had never thought of accepting Duan Ling Tian as his disciple. Today, Duan Ling Tian had defeated Duan Ling Tian Bu Hong, who was ranked second on the true ranking. This had aroused Qinghua's interest in accepting Duan Ling Tian as his direct disciple. It was because of this that he had appeared here. Duan Ling Tian. Qinghua was a straightforward person. Since he wanted to accept Duan Ling Tian as his personal disciple, he didn't beat around the bush and directly called out to Duan Ling Tian. His voice, which contained Saint Qi, directly entered the mansion on the independent island where Duan Ling Tian lived. Duan Ling Tian, who was cultivating on the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, naturally heard this voice and could not help but reveal a puzzled expression. Who's calling me? This person's strength is at least at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage. While Duan Ling Tian was puzzled, Hualao appeared on the 4th floor of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda and reminded Duan Ling Tian with a serious expression. 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage? Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed when he heard Hualao's words. Naturally, he did not doubt Hualao's words. However, a cultivation base at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage was too terrifying for him. The 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage was also known as the heaven-defying form. Once one broke through to this stage, one would be able to break free from the shackles of life and live forever. Naturally, this was only true under normal circumstances. If one was killed, one's body would still be destroyed. There are only 4 people at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage or above in the Zoroastrianism. They're Tang Xian, the sect leader of the Zoroastrianism sect, and the Wind, Fire and Cloud Guardians of the Zoroastrianism sect. Duan Ling Tian muttered to himself, it seems like this person is one of the 3 guardians of the Zoroastrianism sect. I wonder who it is and why is he looking for me? Duan Ling Tian left the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda and his room after he figured out the person's identity. He rose into the air and left the island. After a while, Duan Ling Tian raised his head and saw the green-clad old man standing in the distance. Ever since Duan Ling Tian had arrived at the Zoroastrianism sect, all the high-ranking officials and disciples of Zoroastrianism wore white robes embroidered with flames. This was his first time seeing someone who did not wear a white robe in the Zoroastrianism sect. Based on this, Duan Ling Tian could tell this person had a high status in the Zoroastrianism sect. The green-clad old man was one of the 3 guardians of the Zoroastrianism sect. Soon after, Duan Ling Tian arrived near the green-clad old man. The green-clad old man stood there without emitting any aura. It was as though he was just an ordinary old man. However, Duan Ling Tian knew someone who could restrain their aura to such an extent must have reached a certain cultivation base. It could be said that they had returned to their original state. Greetings, Guardian. When Duan Ling Tian arrived in front of the green-clad old man, he immediately cupped his fists and greeted him. How do you know I'm a guardian of the Zoroastrianism sect? Qinghua asked curiously. He was slightly taken aback when Duan Ling Tian revealed his identity with just a few words. In the Zoroastrianism sect, I'm afraid only the sect leader and the 3 guardians have the same bearing as you. Therefore it's not difficult to guess who you are. Duan Ling Tian's face wasn't red, nor was he panting as he spoke without thinking. At the same time, he was certain the green-clad old man was one of the three guardians of the Zoroastrianism sect. Naturally, it was not because of the green-clad old man's bearing. It was because Hua Lao had told him the green-clad old man's cultivation base was at the seventh form of the Saint Celestial stage or above. In the Zoroastrianism sect, there were only 4 people with such a cultivation base. Tang Xian, the sect leader of the Zoroastrianism sect, was in closed-door cultivation. Therefore, only the 3 guardians of the Zoroastrianism sect were left. However, Duan Lingtian did not know which of the 3 guardians of the Zoroastrianism sect the green-clad old man in front of him was. "You little brat, you actually know how to flatter? That's rare. I thought you only know how to cause trouble." Qing Hua was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He shook his head and smiled. "Guardian, you must be joking. I've never caused trouble." Upon hearing the green-clad old man's words, Duan Lingtian realized the green-clad old man knew about his actions after he joined the Zoroastrianism sect. He believed that there was a reason for everything that he had done. He had never caused trouble. "You've never caused trouble?" Qing Hua shook his head. Then he looked at Duan Lingtian mockingly and said, "Perhaps you didn't start the conflict between you and the others. However, as far as I know, Wen Yin has never provoked you. Why did you humiliate her the first time you saw her? Don't tell me you don't think you're the one who started the conflict with Wen Yin?" Qing Hua asked mockingly when he reached the end of his sentence. "Of course not." Duan Lingtian shook his head decisively and said righteously, "It's true that Wen Yin didn't provoke me. However, I'm a person who won't tolerate any disrespect. In my opinion, Wen Yin is the scum of Zoroastrianism. It's not too much to beat someone like her who would do anything to achieve her goals." Duan Lingtian spoke as though he was a righteous person. It was as though he was enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens by abusing Wen Yin. "I didn't expect you to have such self-awareness. Tell me, what's your relationship with Ganru Yen?" Qing Hua had a skeptical expression on his face when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He did not hesitate to ask about Duan Lingtian's relationship with Ganru Yen. It was as though he had seen through Duan Lingtian's words. It was as though Duan Lingtian was abusing Wen Yin for Ganru Yan's sake. "Guardian Qing Hua, why don't you just ask your disciple about my relationship with me? Why are you asking me?" Duan Lingtian said with a wry smile on his face when he heard Qing Hua's question. The righteous expression on his face collapsed immediately. "How do you know I'm Qing Hua?" Qing Hua was surprised when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. "Among the 3 guardians of Zoroastrianism, I'm afraid only you, Guardian Qing Hua, would be affected when Wen Yin is mentioned. After all, she's the one who ordered your disciple to be imprisoned by the enforcement hall." Duan Lingtian said matter-of-factly. Earlier, when Qing Hua mentioned Wen Yin, Duan Lingtian could vaguely sense the change in Qing Hua's emotions. Ordinary people would not be able to detect the change in Qing Hua's emotions. However, as a weapons specialist in his past life, Duan Lingtian's observation ability was extraordinary. Due to this reason, he was able to detect the subtle fluctuation in Qing Hua's emotions. That was how he confirmed Qing Hua's identity. Among the 3 guardians of Zoroastrianism, Qing Hua was the only one who was prejudiced against Wen Yin. After all, Wen Yin was the one who had sent his disciple to the enforcement hall. Haha. Qing Hua was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. However, he soon laughed heartily. After a while he finally stopped laughing. After that, Qing Hua looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a burning gaze, "Duan Lingtian, are you interested in becoming my disciple? I've heard that you have a sectless cultivator as your master, but I don't care. Now that I've met you, I find you to my liking. As long as you become my disciple, I guarantee I'll spare no effort in nurturing you. Whatever Ru Yen has, you won't lack as well." Qing Hua made a promise after he finished speaking. As long as Duan Lingtian was willing to become his disciple, he would spare no effort in nurturing Duan Lingtian. He would not treat Duan Lingtian any worse than he treated Ganru Yen. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Qing Hua's words. He did not expect Qing Hua would come just to accept him as his disciple. While Qing Hua was looking for Duan Lingtian to accept Duan Lingtian as his disciple, in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, the quasi-third-rate force, the Azure Cloud Mansion, had another uninvited guest. However, the uninvited guest this time was different from the previous group of people. There was only one person. To be more precise, this was not a person. This was a monster that was 4 meters tall. The reason it was called a monster was because it had a human body and a bull's head. This was a monster with a bull's head and a human body. What kind of monster is this? Chapter 2063. The 4-meter-tall monster with the head of a cow and the body of a human was so strong that the black armored guards couldn't compare to it. Humans are too weak. The monster with the head of a cow and the body of a human was none other than the Ox Devil clan from the land of exile. He was one of the elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan who had come to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land not long ago. Before this Ox Devil arrived at the Azure Cloud Mansion, he had killed countless people along the way. All the human martial, Dao, and devil cultivators he encountered were killed by him. Not only that, but he had also devoured their vital essence and blood to increase his strength. In the land of exile, the cultivation environment and resources were limited. The increase in the strength of the devil race was usually through the devil-eating devil method. The so-called demon-devouring demon referred to when a demon killed another demon, and the surviving demon devoured the essence and blood of the dead demon to increase his own strength. For this reason, in the land of exile, the stronger a devil was, the more devils would die in his hands. In the land of exile, almost all the major demon clans were at loggerheads with each other. This was because they could only rely on eating other devils to increase their strength. If he were to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate, he would need to spend an extremely long time in such a harsh cultivation environment. Naturally, no matter how the devil clans were at odds with each other in the land of exile, once they left the land of exile and entered other realms, they would put aside their grudges and join forces. This was because they had a common enemy and could devour their enemy's vital essence and blood to increase their strength. There was no need for them to kill each other. More than 100,000 years ago, during the human-devil era, the devil clans from the land of exile had come to the Saint Province realm where the Dao Martial Saint Land was located. They had joined forces and started a massacre against the humans. Countless humans were killed and their vital essence and blood were devoured. It was only after the devil clans were chased back to the land of exile that the space barrier between the land of exile and the Saint Province realm was sealed, that the Saint Province realm regained its peace. The terror of the demon race was like a nightmare to the surviving humans of that era. Humans? It called us humans? Is he a saint beast? Many of the black armored guards could not help but think to themselves when they heard the words spoken by the bull demon in human language. It's no weaker than the powerhouse from the upper province who followed the Zoroastrianism elder. Now we can only wait for Lord Commander to summon Lord Mansion Master. A centurion of the black armored army said with a solemn expression. Manor Lord. Hearing the words of this black armored army centurion, the eyes of many black armored army guards lit up. Their eyes were burning with excitement as if they had been injected with chicken blood. It was as if he had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Nearly a month ago, the previous commander of the Black Armored Army was killed. After this, Duan Ruffing, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, appointed Tong Zhong, the centurion of the Black Armored Army, as the new commander of the Black Armored Army. No one in the Black Armored Army objected to this. They even felt that it was natural. Tong Zhong was the only exemplary saint stage powerhouse in the Black Armored Army other than the previous commander. He was also the only exemplary saint stage powerhouse left after the previous commander died. Therefore, Tong Zhong becoming the new commander of the Black Armored Army was also expected by everyone. Meanwhile, in the Azure Cloud Mansion's main mansion, Tong Zhong, the new commander of the Black Armored Army, finally met with Duan Ruffing, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. A monster with a cow's head and a human's body? After listening to Tong Zhong's explanation, Duan Ruffing, who was originally sitting on the main seat in the main hall, rose to his feet immediately. Perhaps Tong Zhong did not know what a monster with a cow's head and a human's body was. However, Duan Ruffing, as someone who had indirectly inherited the Devil Clan's legacy, was very familiar with the monsters with a cow's head and a human's body. A monster with a cow's head and a human's body was the symbol of the Ox Devil Clan in the land of exile. An Ox Devil has invaded the Azure Cloud Mansion? A hint of dread flashed in Duan Ruffing's eyes as his expression turned grave. Swoosh. Following that, Duan Ruffing waved his hand and brought Tong Zhong out of the Azure Cloud Mansion's main mansion. As they traveled, he asked, "How tall is the monster with a cow's head and a human's body?" "Almost 4.5 meters. Tong Zhong replied after a moment of thought. "Almost 4.5 meters?" Duan Ruffing sighed in relief when he heard Tong Zhong's words. With his current cultivation base, the most he could summon was a Saint Devil puppet whose strength was at the 5th form of the Saint Celestial stage from the Saint Devil altar in the land of exile. If it was an elite from the Ox Devil clan, he might not be a match for it even if he summoned the Saint Devil puppet and used the Super Saint weapon, the Azura Saber. Duan Ruffing sighed in relief when he heard Tong Zhong's description of the Ox Devil's height. Ox Devil that was almost 4.5 meters tall and had a cultivation base at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage was nothing to him. However, why would a member of the Ox Devil clan appear in the Dao Martial Saint land? Could it be that when Dugu Shuang and I made a breakthrough to the quintessential saint stage, we absorbed the pure devil chi from the land of exile through the spatial barrier and affected the stability of the spatial barrier? Duan Rufeng's expression turned solemn when he thought of this. Previously, he and Dugu Shuang had suppressed their cultivation base to the peak of the exemplary saint stage because they had to obtain the devil chi from the land of exile. They had to absorb the pure devil chi from the land of exile in order to break through to the quintessential saint stage. If they wanted to absorb the pure devil chi from the land of exile, they would have to pass through the space barrier. Although the process did not cause any damage to the space barrier, it would still affect the stability of the space barrier. Perhaps it's because I summoned the Saint Devil puppet from the Saint Devil altar in the land of exile a month ago? Duan Rufeng could not help but gasp when he thought of this. Now that an Ox Devil from the land of exile had passed through the space barrier and came to the Dao Martial Saint land, did this mean other devils could easily come to the Dao Martial Saint land as well? If that was the case, would he and Dugu not be sinners who brought disaster to the Dao Martial Saint land? Duan Rufeng's face instantly turned gloomy. Naturally, he did not regret it even if the devil clans from the land of exile came to the Dao Martial Saint land again because of him. If he did not absorb the pure devil chi from the land of exile and perfectly break through to the quintessential saint stage, he would not have mastered the technique to summon the Saint Devil puppet from the land of exile. If he did not master the technique to summon the Saint Devil puppet, the Azure Cloud Mansion would have ceased to exist a month ago. Not only would the Azure Cloud Mansion cease to exist, but he, his family and his friends would have been used by the Zoroastrianism elder Lian. Moreover, they would have harmed his son Duan Lingtian. For this reason, Duan Rufeng did not regret it even if he was the culprit who caused the devil clans to come to the Dao Martial Saint land. For the sake of his son, his wife, his daughter-in-law and his grandson, he was willing to do anything. Even if he was plagued with sins, he was not afraid at all. In his heart, his family was the most important. Everything else, including his own life, was not that important. Lord Mansion Master. Lord Mansion Master. When Duan Rufeng brought Tong Zhong to the main mansion of the Azure Cloud Mansion, the group of black armored guards immediately broke into an uproar. All of them had an excited expression on their faces as though they had seen their savior. Faced with a group of excited black armored guards, Duan Rufeng's heart was heavy. He felt the responsibility he had shouldered was greater than the sky. Under the watchful eyes of the group of black armored guards, after Duan Rufeng put Tong Zhong down, he appeared in front of the group of black armored guards and shielded them behind him. When Duan Rufeng's silhouette entered the eyes of the group of black armored guards, they felt that he was incomparably tall and lofty. At the same time, they felt extremely safe at this moment. At this moment, their sense of belonging to the Azure Cloud Mansion grew even stronger in their hearts. How did you come here from the land of exile? Duan Rufeng asked in a deep voice as he looked at the bull devil who was 4 meters tall. Human, you're too weak. You don't have the right to ask me questions. The bull devil said disdainfully when he heard Duan Rufeng's question. He had a disdainful expression on his face. Is that so? Duan Rufeng narrowed his eyes when he heard the bull devil's provocation. Then he cast the technique he inherited from the devil clans and summoned the Saint Devil puppet from the Saint Devil altar in the land of exile. When the Saint Devil puppet emerged from the whirlpool, the bull devil who was standing nearby no longer had a look of disdain on his face. It was replaced with a look of horror and disbelief. Saint Devil puppet? You're just a mere quintessential saint stage human from the Saint Province realm. How did you summon the Saint Devil puppet from the land of exile? At this moment, not only did the bull devil recognize the stone golem that was emitting pure devil chi as the Saint Devil puppet, but it even sensed the energy hidden in the Saint Devil puppet was much stronger than it. For this reason, it began to panic. You don't have to worry about that. Duan Rufeng sneered as he flew into the Saint Devil puppet's body, preparing to control the Saint Devil puppet to deal with the bull devil. Run. Facing the Saint Devil puppet that was clearly much stronger than him, Bull Demon only had the thought of running away in his mind. He immediately turned around, wanting to escape as fast as he could. Apart from that, it was also eager to inform the 10th elder of the Bull Devil clan about this. There was someone in the Debussy subterranean who could threaten the elite warriors of the Bull Devil clan. Chapter 2064. The 4-meter-tall Ox Devil only had a cultivation base at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. With such a cultivation base, it was impossible for it to escape from the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Ruffing. After all, the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Ruffing was at the fourth form of the Saint Celestial stage. It was close to the fifth form of the Saint Celestial stage. The Ox Devil at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage was nothing in front of the Saint Devil puppet. Soon after, the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Ruffing caught up to the Ox Devil, who was considered an elite warrior in the Ox Devil clan, and killed it. Soon after, the Ox Devil's vital energy and blood were absorbed by Duan Ruffing. In the past, although Duan Ruffing knew how to absorb other people's vital energy and blood and had witnessed He Ming controlling his body to absorb the vital energy and blood of many powerhouses, he had never done it himself. This was because he could not get over it. He had always felt that it was against the heavens and earth. This was also the reason why his current cultivation was so much weaker than Dugu Yi's. After Dugu had broken through to the quintessential saint stage, he had absorbed the vital energy and blood of many powerhouses in the Debussyi subterranean. Due to this, his cultivation base had risen to the Saint Celestial stage in a short time. However, Duan Ruffing did not absorb the vital energy and blood of humans and saint beasts. It did not mean he did not absorb the vital energy and blood of devils. He did not feel guilty about absorbing the vital energy and blood of the Ox Devil from the land of exile. It's a pity my soul energy isn't strong enough to use the soul-searching secret tactic on it. Otherwise, I'd be able to obtain some useful information. After absorbing the vital energy and blood of the Ox Devil, Duan Ruffing's expression changed drastically. I wonder if this Ox Devil is the only one who managed to pass through the space barrier to the Dao Martial Saint Land, or if the entire Ox Devil clan has passed through the space barrier to the Dao Martial Saint Land. Perhaps, many devils have come to the Dao Martial Saint Land. A hint of dread could be seen in Duan Ruffing's eyes when he thought of this. Regardless of the situation, I have to go into seclusion to digest the blood essence of the demonic bull I just devoured to improve my cultivation. I should be able to break through to the Saint Celestial stage once I've completely digested the Ox Devil's vital energy and blood. Even though Duan Ruffing did not know the exact situation of the demon race in the exiled lands, he still did not know the exact situation. However, he still had an ominous feeling. He felt that the human devil era from hundreds of thousands of years ago was very likely to reappear. In order to survive the chaotic era of the human devil era, one had to be powerful enough. Otherwise, one would be killed and devoured by the demon race and become a part of the demon race's power. Regardless of whether it was for himself, his family, or the Azure Cloud Mansion. He had to make himself strong in a short period of time. Only then would he be able to protect everything he wanted to protect during the chaotic era of the human devil era. After bidding farewell to Tong Zhong and asking him to calm the black armored guards down, Duan Ruffing left in a hurry and returned to the main mansion to enter closed-door cultivation. The group of black armored guards stared at the direction where Duan Ruffing had left. They were still in a daze for a long time. In the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, the Azure Cloud Mansion was considered lucky. After all, they had a powerful mansion master who had successfully killed the elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan who had invaded the Azure Cloud Mansion and protected the Azure Cloud Mansion. Similarly, the Mountain Shade Black Market was also lucky. They had a powerful leader who had also killed the elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan who had invaded the Mountain Shade Black Market and protected the Mountain Shade Black Market. However, the other quasi-third-rate forces were not as lucky. For example, the quasi-third-rate force, the Mystical Sky Mansion, that Duan Lingtian had once stayed in, was destroyed by the elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan. Many high-ranking officials and disciples of the Mystical Sky Mansion were killed and devoured. Only a few lucky high-ranking officials and disciples managed to escape from the Mystical Sky Mansion in time. Among them was the female disciple of Mystical Sky Mansion, Wang Fei Xian. She had a good relationship with Duan Lingtian when he was in the Mystical Sky Mansion and was in love with Duan Lingtian. After Wang Fei Xian escaped from the Mystical Sky Mansion, she returned to her home, the fourth-rate force, the Tyrannic Saber Mansion. However, she discovered the Tyrannic Saber Mansion was in ruins. Blood flowed like a river in the Tyrannic Saber Mansion, and dried corpses were everywhere. Her grandfather had also been killed and devoured into a dried corpse. Grandfather? Wang Fei Xian knelt beside the corpse of her grandfather, the mansion master of Tyrannic Saber Mansion, and wept bitterly as tears streamed down her face. Her pitiful appearance made one's heart ache. After a long time, Wang Fei Xian finally stopped crying. After wiping away the tears on her face, her eyes shone coldly. The flames of hatred continued to burn in her heart as though it could incinerate everything. That cow-headed man called himself an elite warrior from the Ox Devil clan. What's the Ox Devil clan? Wang Feixian was at a loss as the flames of hatred burned fiercely in her heart. This was because she had never heard of the Ox Devil clan before this. It was as though the Ox Devil clan had appeared out of thin air. Moreover, the so-called elite warrior from the Ox Devil clan was terrifyingly strong. It was heaven-defying. Even someone as strong as the mansion master of Mystical Sky Mansion was killed by it with just one strike. When Wang Feixian recalled the scene of the Ox Devil clan's elite warrior killing the mansion master of Mystical Sky Mansion, she felt helpless again. Could she really have her revenge? Was there any hope of revenge? After leaving the tyrannic Saber Mansion, Wang Feixian wandered around aimlessly. Along the way she saw many dried corpses of people who had been killed or devoured. These dried corpses stung her eyes and stimulated her heart. She was on the verge of breaking down. In the end, even Wang Feixian did not know why she decided to wander in the direction of the quasi-third-rate force, the Azure Cloud Mansion. Perhaps, it was because the man she loved was the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Or perhaps, it was because she felt the Azure Cloud Mansion was relatively safer since it was stronger than the Mystical Sky Mansion. To Wang Feixian this was an instinctive decision. Duanling Tian, who was in the Zoroastrianism in the upper province, was, naturally, unaware of the chaos in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. After rejecting Qing Hua, the guardian of the Zoroastrianism's request to take him in as a disciple, he quietly appeared on the Saint Island and went to the residence of the Saint Land's elite disciples. He had stayed in the residence of the Saint Land's elite disciples for some time in the past. He only had one purpose in coming here today, and that was to look for someone. This person was none other than the Saint Land's elite disciple whom he had asked for directions when he had just arrived at the Saint Land of Zoroastrianism, Guanxiu. In the end he had a death duel with the true disciple Yang Wen, and Guanxiu had placed a huge bet on him without him reminding him. Due to this reason, although he did not have much interaction with Guanxiu, he could tell he was a good and reliable person. For this reason, he had left the Zoroastrianism to look for Guanxiu's help. Senior brother Ling Tian. Guanxiu was, naturally, excited when he saw Duanling Tian again. He greeted Duanling Tian warmly. One could say he had personally witnessed Duanling Tian's rise in the Saint Land. Guanxiu. Duanling Tian smiled and greeted him back. Senior brother Ling Tian, you still remember me? When Guanxiu heard Duanling Tian calling out his name, he felt a surge of excitement in his heart. It was as though he was injected with chicken blood. Of course I remember you. Why would I look for you if I don't remember you? Duanling Tian said with a smile. Senior brother Ling Tian, what's the matter? Guanxiu asked curiously as he tried to suppress the excitement in his heart. I'm here to ask you for a favor. Duanling Tian did not beat around the bush. Please speak, senior brother Ling Tian. As long as it's within my power, I'll definitely do my best to help. Guanxiu said confidently when he learned the purpose of Duanling Tian's visit. In Guanxiu's opinion, put aside the fact that this senior brother Ling Tian had helped him earn a lot of contribution points in the Palace of Death, just based on the fact that this senior brother Ling Tian still remembered him, it was his duty to help senior brother Ling Tian. It's not a difficult matter. Following that, Duanling Tian began to talk to Guanxiu about a serious matter. He wanted Guanxiu to help him bring an item away from Zoroastrianism and place it in the barren mountains thousands of miles south of Zoroastrianism. The item he wanted Guanxiu to bring was a small box that could not be stored in a spatial ring. Most importantly, during the process of transporting this small box, it had to be absolutely stable. There could not be the slightest bit of shaking. That small box. You can go to that tree to retrieve it tomorrow morning. After instructing Guanxiu, Duanling Tian pointed at a tree near the Saint Land's elite disciples' residence. At that time I'll place it on the leftmost branch. Also, as long as you bring the small box to the destination and place it on the ground steadily, you'll be able to leave that area. After Duanling Tian finished instructing Guanxiu, he bade farewell and left after Guanxiu nodded in agreement. What small box? It can't be stored in a spatial ring and it can't be shaken at all. I don't care. Since senior brother Ling Tian requested this of me, he must have his reasons. I'll just do as he says. After Duanling Tian left, Guanxiu still had some doubts in the beginning. However, he no longer thought about it. However, Guanxiu did not expect this at all. Duanling Tian wanted him to help him transport him out. The small box was used to store the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. He would enter the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. As long as the small box was transported in a stable manner, the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda would not expel him. This was also the reason he requested Guanxiu to not let the small box shake at all. Based on this, it was obvious. Chapter 2065. Guanxio was an inconspicuous elite disciple in the saint land of Zoroastrianism. Since he rarely interacted with Duan Tian, he would not be targeted by the people whom Duan Tian had offended. For this reason, Duan Tian came to him for help. Whether it was today or the next day, Duan Tian was very careful when he came to look for Guanxio. With the protection of Elder Hua, who was hiding in the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, it was easy for him to avoid the surveillance of some people. He arrived near the residence of the Saint Land's elite disciples and successfully arrived at the tree that he had mentioned to Guanxio yesterday. I hope everything goes well. After taking a deep breath, Duan Tian placed the small box he had prepared on the tree branch. At the same time, he hid the shrunken Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda in the box. Then Duan Tian entered the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda with just a thought. Next, he waited for Guanxio to retrieve the small box. At the same time, the people who were hiding in the dark began to search for Duan Tian when they could not find Duan Tian. Apart from that, they also spread the news. For a time, many powerhouses rushed out of the saint land of Zoroastrianism and made their way to the four symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism. They only had one goal in mind. They wanted to keep an eye on everyone who left Zoroastrianism to see if Duan Tian had left Zoroastrianism. As soon as Duan Tian left, some of them would immediately follow him while the rest would send the news back to the enforcement hall and the vice hall master of the enforcement hall, Dong Yuanjin. It was fortunate that Duan Tian did not plan to leave Zoroastrianism alone. Otherwise, even with Hua Lao's help, he might not be able to leave Zoroastrianism under the surveillance of these people. Naturally, Duan Tian could disguise himself. However, his back view and the invisible aura he exuded would not change because of his disguise. For this reason, he did not dare to take the risk. If there was someone familiar with him among the people who were watching him, they would recognize him even if he disguised himself. In the residence of the elite disciples in the saint land of Zoroastrianism. Unlike the four symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism, this place was very peaceful. The subordinates of Dong Yuanjin, the vice hall master of the enforcement hall, were stationed at the edge of the four symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism. At this moment, another person walked out of a stone house in one of the courtyards in the residence of the elite disciples. And Duan Tian. Since this person came from the fire worship sect's Saint Land's residence, he was naturally an elite disciple as well. Now, it's time for me to make an appointment with senior brother Ling Tian. This Saint Land elite disciple was none other than Guanxio, whom Duan Tian had come to look for yesterday. He was also the key to whether Duan Tian would be able to leave Zoroastrianism today. As long as Guanxio did not make any mistakes, Duan Tian would be able to leave Zoroastrianism easily. Soon after, Guanxio arrived at the tree that Duan Tian had pointed to yesterday. As expected, he saw an exquisite little box at the place where they had agreed to meet. Although Guanxio was extremely curious about what was inside the box that made his junior brother Ling Tian so careful to not even let the box shake, Guanxio was extremely curious. However, in the end, he dismissed his curiosity and did not open the little box to take a look. Don't worry, senior brother Ling Tian. I'll definitely complete the task that you've entrusted to me. Guanxio took a deep breath and carefully picked up the little box. While ensuring that it would not shake, he flew out of the saint land of Zoroastrianism. After leaving the saint land of Zoroastrianism, he brought the little box with him and headed south. Soon after, he arrived near the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the four symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism. Although Zoroastrianism had a rule that Saint Land disciples were not allowed to enter any of the four symbol sanctums, Saint Land disciples could bypass the Black Turtle Sanctum in the south of the Zoroastrianism sanctum and leave Zoroastrianism. Along the way, other than holding the little box in his hand carefully, Guanxio did not care about anything else. He did not even notice the few silver flame elders from the Saint Land who were spying on him in the dark. Naturally, he did not notice the silver flame elders from the Saint Land who were spying on him in the dark. The silver flame elders did not intend to make things difficult for him as well. They merely glanced at him and confirmed that he was not Duan Tian before allowing him to leave Zoroastrianism. I hope he's alright. During this process, Duan Tian, who was in the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, held his breath. He was slightly worried. He was not worried that Guanxio would be targeted. After all, even if the few silver flame elders who were hiding in the dark had their eyes on Guanxio, they would not do anything to him. After all, Guanxio was not Duan Tian. However, the few silver flame elders who were hiding in the dark would not know that Duan Tian was hiding in the dark. He knew that Duan Lingtian would be hiding in the little box in Guanxiu's hand. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was holding his breath. He was worried that Guanxiu would not be able to hold the little box firmly and would cause the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda to shake and throw him out of the pagoda. If he was thrown out of the pagoda, he would definitely be discovered by the few silver flame elders who were hiding in the dark. At that time, his plan to leave Zoroastrianism would be ruined. Fortunately, Guanxiu was very reliable. The little box was very stable in his hand. It did not shake at all even when he was 100 miles away from the Zoroastrianism. This Guanxiu is pretty good. Duan Lingtian will remember this favor. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he was 100 miles away from the Zoroastrianism. At this moment, even if Guanxiu did not hold the little box firmly and was thrown out by the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda, he no longer had to worry about being targeted by the few high-ranking officials in the Zoroastrianism. The high-ranking officials in the Zoroastrianism whom he had offended, including the Black Turtle Sanctum's first silver flame elder Lien, could only be considered a small fry. Apart from that, he had also offended the Sanctum leader of the Azure Dragon Sanctum and the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall, Dong Yuanjin. If he left the Zoroastrianism, he would be targeted by these 3 people. Unless he returned to the Zoroastrianism in time, he would definitely die. With Guanxiu's speed, it did not take him long to travel 1,000 miles. Is this the place that senior brother Ling Tian mentioned? Guanxiu muttered to himself as he looked at the barren hills beneath his feet. Soon after, he descended from the sky and placed the little box on one of the barren hills. Then he left without looking back. After making sure Guanxiu had left, Duan Lingtian also came out of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda and put it away. As for the little box, he casually threw it into his spatial ring. I'm finally out. Duan Lingtian was in a good mood when he was in the barren hills. Since he had left the Zoroastrianism quietly, he no longer had to worry about being targeted by the 3 high-ranking officials in the Zoroastrianism whom he had offended. He could do whatever he wanted. The reason I left the Zoroastrianism is to improve my innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian did not forget the reason he left the Zoroastrianism. If it was not for the fact that he wanted to improve his innate spiritual root, he would not have left the Zoroastrianism so easily. After all, Kerr and their daughter were still imprisoned in the Zoroastrianism Enforcement Hall. Their lives might be in danger at any time. Currently, he wanted to improve his strength as quickly as possible so he could rescue Kerr and their daughter from the Zoroastrianism Enforcement Hall. For this reason, he chose to leave the Zoroastrianism temporarily. In the Zoroastrianism, the rules were strict. He did not have many opportunities to improve his innate spiritual root. However, everything was different outside. Although I'm eager to improve my innate spiritual root, I can't just devour other people's innate spiritual roots. If I devour other people's innate spiritual roots, what's the difference between me and those inhumane devil cultivators? Duan Lingtian did not change his mind about this. He would not harm the innocent. Even if he wanted to improve his innate spiritual root in a short time, he would not devour other people's innate spiritual roots. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, is there any place suitable for me to improve my innate spiritual root in a short time? With this question in mind, Duan Lingtian made his way south. A few days later he saw a city and decided to stay in it. He began to inquire about places in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land that were suitable for him to improve his innate spiritual root. The place suitable for me to improve my innate spiritual root must be a place where there are many villains. I don't have to worry about devouring their innate spiritual roots. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. At the same time, Duan Lingtian found the busiest restaurant in the city center and went in to take a seat by the window. After ordering his food and wine, he began to eavesdrop on the conversations around him. Restaurants had always been the best place to gather information. Duan Lingtian believed he would be able to find the information he wanted in this restaurant. As time passed, it was soon noon. The lively restaurant was completely packed. It became even livelier. In the restaurant, there were tables full of customers talking about everything under the sun. However, there was no news that Duan Lingtian wanted to know at this moment. However, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry. He listened to the customers patiently. If there was no news for a day, he would come for 2 days. If there was no news for 2 days, he would come for 3 days. If there was no news for 3 days, he would ask someone. Naturally, Duan Lingtian could ask someone now, but he did not do so. Although he had been in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land for quite some time, he had spent most of his time in Zoroastrianism. Therefore, he knew nothing about the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. He wanted to take this opportunity to learn more about the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land from the customers in the restaurant. I heard that about 6 months ago, the Medicine King Sun Ying's herb garden was ransacked. Before that, he had imprisoned 3 people from the Debussy subterranean as servants in his herb garden. Chapter 2066. Rumor has it that he has already declared that if he meets the 3 people from the Debussy subterranean again, he'll definitely kill them. The voice continued to enter Duan Lingtian's ears. This confirmed Duan Lingtian's suspicions. The Medicine King Sun Ying was the owner of the herb garden that Duan Lingtian, Gu Li and Zhu Luqi had accidentally barged into when they arrived at the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Sun Ying had imprisoned them and made them servants in the herb garden. Through Hua Lao's plan with the help of Gu Li and Zhu Luqi, Duan Lingtian had managed to loot all the spirit medicines in Sun Ying's herb garden. At the same time he had successfully lured Sun Ying away and escaped. However, at that time, Duan Lingtian was unaware of the identity of the owner of the herb garden. Sun Ying? Medicine King? A quasi-celestial grade saint refinement master who's skilled in medicine refinement Dao? A sectless cultivator ranked at the 275th place on the Supreme Saint ranking? Duan Lingtian shuddered when he learned about the identity of the owner of the herb garden. A sectless cultivator ranked at the 275th place on the Supreme Saint ranking was definitely at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage. Although he was not the strongest among those at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage, he was definitely one of the best. It's fortunate that we managed to escape. Otherwise, the 3 of us would have died. Duan Lingtian rejoiced inwardly when he learned about Sun Ying's strength. After all, he was only ranked at the 421st place on the Supreme Saint ranking after defeating Bu Hong, a true disciple of Zoroastrianism, with the Celestial Supreme Treasure, the Jasper Celestial Sword. Currently, he might not be a match for Sun Ying even if he used the Jasper Celestial Sword. Right now, Palace Master Zhu should have successfully returned to the lower province and reported to the Azure Cloud Mansion. I hope Father will be able to evacuate the Azure Cloud Mansion and find a place to hide before Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, sends his men to the lower province. When Duan Lingtian heard about the Medicine King Sun Ying, he was reminded of Zhu Luqi, who was one of the 2 people who had gone through thick and thin together. Zhu Luqi had gone to the Azure Cloud Mansion in the Debussy subterranean to report to the Azure Cloud Mansion. However, Duan Lingtian did not expect that Sun Ying's death. Zhu Luqi had died a month ago. Zhu Luqi did not return to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Due to a malfunction in the inter-province transportation formation, he was sent to the land of exile and killed by the 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan. Senior brother Gu Li's senior brother? Duan Lingchen's son. After a while, Duan Lingtian thought about Gu Li again. I wonder how he's doing now. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's thoughts drifted so far away that he did not notice that there were 2 people at his table. The 2 people who appeared at Duan Lingtian's table were a young man and a young woman. The young man was tall and handsome. Naturally, he was still lacking compared to Duan Lingtian. Whether it was the Duan Lingtian before he disguised himself or the Duan Lingtian after he disguised himself, Duan Lingtian was much more handsome than the young man. Due to this reason, the young man could not help but frown when he saw Duan Lingtian as he stood in front of Duan Lingtian's table. A sense of inferiority rose in his heart. It was precisely this feeling that made him extremely displeased, to the extent that some dissatisfaction faintly rose in his heart. As for the young woman next to the young man, she had a flawless and delicate face. She exuded a seductive charm. She seemed to overshadow everything around her as she stood there. One had to admit she was a beauty. She was only slightly inferior to Duan Lingtian's wives, Ke and Li Fei. She could be considered as a rare beauty in the Dao Martial Saint Land. Although the woman had an extremely beautiful face, she looked very approachable. She looked as pure and holy as a celestial when she was dressed in white. Hello, there are no more empty seats in the restaurant. Can we share a table with you? The white-clad girl looked at Duan Lingtian, who was in a daze, and asked with a smile on her face. Her voice was light and melodious, and it made people feel extremely comfortable when they heard it. At the same time, it gave people a feeling as if they were bathing in the spring breeze. When Duan Lingtian heard her voice, he immediately snapped out of his daze. Naturally, it was also because the 2 people who were near him did not reveal any hostility toward him. Otherwise, he would have long regained his senses. What did you say? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he saw the white-clad young woman before him. Ever since he came to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, he had never seen such a beautiful young woman. Naturally, Ganru Yen, who looked exactly like Kerr, was an exception. There are no more empty seats in the restaurant. Can we share a table with you? The white-clad young woman repeated patiently. At the same time her cheeks flushed red. This was because she noticed this young man was different from other men when he looked at her. His gaze was pure and flawless. There was no hint of profanity in his eyes at all. She instantly had a deep impression of this pair of eyes. Not only that, but she also had a good impression of the owner of this pair of eyes. It was her first time having a good impression of a man other than her family since she was young. Due to this reason her cheeks flushed red. Of course. Duan Lingtian nodded his head. He also had a good impression of this white-clad young woman who was shy like a young girl. Due to this reason he agreed to it immediately. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian did not even look at the young man standing next to the young woman at all. When the young man saw the woman talking to Duan Lingtian, his face flushed red. Jealousy and anger could be seen in his eyes immediately. In his heart, he had long regarded this woman as his woman. However, this woman had never shown such a shy side to her in front of him. He was completely enraged at this moment. Thank you. After the white-clad young woman thanked Duan Lingtian, she took the opportunity to sit next to Duan Lingtian. After she sat down, the redness on her cheeks deepened even more. The tables and chairs in this restaurant had 2 benches for each table, and the benches were divided into 2 sides. She did not want to sit next to the young man who came with her, so she sat next to Duan Lingtian, a stranger. At the very least, this stranger was different from the other men who came with her. He did not show any lewd thoughts from the beginning until the end. He gave her a very comfortable sense of security. Duan Lingtian did not expect the white-clad young woman to suddenly sit next to him. When he came to his senses, the unique fragrance of a virgin wafted into his nose, causing him to feel relaxed and happy. As for the young man who came with the white-clothed woman, he was already angry. Now, seeing that the woman was actually willing to sit with this strange man instead of him on the same bench, his heart was instantly filled with a wicked fire. Ching, how can you sit next to a stranger? Quick, come and sit next to me. After the young man sat down on the bench next to the table, he beckoned the woman to sit next to him. This was the reason why he was willing to let a stranger sit next to her. He thought the woman would sit next to him if he did that. Dong Fangzhu, I'm telling you one last time. You can't call me Qing. Our relationship hasn't reached that stage yet. You can call me Qiumu Qing. The woman, who had been as gentle as water since the beginning, turned cold when she heard the young man called her Dong Fangzhu. At the same time she said to Dong Fangzhu angrily, Brother Dong Fangzhu, you're not allowed to do that. Qiumu Qing. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian also learned the white-clad young woman's name. He could not help but praise her inwardly. What a good name. Apart from that, Duan Lingtian also noticed Qiumu Qing did not seem to like Dong Fangzhu who came with her. Not only did she not like him, but she even seemed to hate him. This caused him to be slightly puzzled. Since she hates this Dong Fangzhu so much, why did she come to this restaurant to eat with him? A woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the ocean. Duan Lingtian finally understood. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's impression of Qiumu Qing had weakened slightly. Dong Fangzhu's eyes flashed coldly when he heard Qiumu Qing's words. However, he still maintained a smile on his face. It's a little rude to call you by your name. Since you don't want me to call you that, I'll call you Miss Mu Qing. What do you think? You can just call me Miss Qiu. Qiumu Qing said calmly. Her tone was indifferent. All right. I'll do as you say. Since you asked me to call you Miss Qiu, I'll call you Miss Qiu. Dong Fangzhu said obediently. However, he was inwardly furious. Bitch, I'll ravage you until you're half dead after I marry you. I'll make you beg for mercy under my crotch. Miss Qiu, did you hear what I said earlier? Dong Fangzhu reminded Qiumu Qing again. He wanted her to leave the bench Duan Lingtian was sitting on and sit next to him. Naturally, he did not want to miss an opportunity to be close to a beauty. Moreover, the beauty was sitting next to a man who was more handsome and had a better bearing than him. He could not help but feel jealous. There's no need for that. I'm fine sitting here. Qiumu Qing interrupted Dong Fangzhu again. She did not mind sitting next to Duan Lingtian. Instantly, Dong Fangzhu's face darkened. Since Qiumu Qing had failed, he quickly shifted his attention to Duan Lingtian. Nice to meet you, I'm Dong Fangzhu. I'm the second young master of the Dong Fang clan, one of the 3 great clans in Clarity City. My father is the clan leader of the Dong Fang clan. Chapter 2067. Clarity City was the city Duan Lingtian was currently in. It was a small city at the southern border of the western region. Just now, from the words of some of the customers in the restaurant, he had a certain understanding of the distribution of forces in this city. Apart from the sectless Cultivators Alliance, the strongest forces in Clarity City were the three great clans. The three great clans were the Feng clan, the Chiu clan, and the Eastern Fang clan. They were third-rate forces in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. The Feng clan was the strongest among the three great clans. Is Chiu Mu-Ching from the Chiu clan? Duanling Tian could not help but speculate inwardly when he heard Dong Fangzhu's condescending words. Boy, didn't you hear what I said? Dong Fangzhu was enraged when he saw Duanling Tian had ignored him. His eyes flashed coldly as though he was about to devour Duanling Tian. He was the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan. When had he ever been ignored in Clarity City? However, Duanling Tian continued to ignore him. He turned to look at Chiu Mu-Ching and asked, "If I'm not mistaken, you must be the only daughter of the clan leader of Chiu clan, the young miss of Chiu clan, right?" Duanling Tian had heard the customers in the restaurant mention the young miss of Chiu clan earlier. However, they did not mention her name. Moreover, the customers had also mentioned the situation in Clarity City. Although the three great clans in Clarity City were on par with each other, the Feng clan was the strongest among them. The other two clans had to band together to avoid being defeated by the Feng clan. The other two clans, the Chiu clan and the Eastern Fang clan, had been trying to get closer to each other as well. There was no doubt the marriage would strengthen the relationship between the two clans. Rumor had it that the clan leader of Chiu clan intended to betroth his only daughter to the young master of the Eastern Fang clan. However, rumor had it that the young miss of Chiu clan did not like the young master of the Eastern Fang clan. Due to this reason, the marriage had been delayed for a long time. At first, Duanling Tian did not react. Now that he had regained his senses, he guessed that the white-clad woman next to him and the self-proclaimed second young master of the Dong Fang family sitting opposite him were most likely the two parties involved. Duanling Tian was very close to Chiu Mu-Ching when he spoke to her. Chiu Mu-Ching blushed when she felt Duanling Tian's warm breath. She asked in surprise, You know me?" "I don't know him. I guessed." Duanling Tian shook his head. At the same time he realized he had misunderstood Chiu Mu-Ching. The first miss of the Chiu clan had no choice but to be together with the second young master of the Dong Fang clan, Dong Fangzhu. It was likely that the Chiu clan behind her had forced her to interact with Dong Fangzhu so that they would develop feelings for each other. It was not difficult for Duanling Tian to guess. In that case, it made sense why Chiu Mu-Ching would eat with Dong Fangzhu even though she hated him. "You guessed?" Chiu Mu-Ching was slightly surprised. However, she did not doubt Duanling Tian's words. She had a good impression of this man who stood out from the crowd, and she could tell that he wasn't trying to attract her attention by saying those words. "I heard you're being harassed by a toad from the Dong Fang family. I guessed it when I heard the toad chirping in my ear earlier." Duanling Tian replied in a timely manner. He did not hold back when he spoke. Chiu Mu-Ching was stunned when she heard Duanling Tian's words. She could not help but cover her mouth and laugh when she heard them. Her eyebrows were curved into crescents, and she looked even more charming at this moment. Duanling Tian could not help but be dazed when he saw this. Chiu Mu-Ching was even more beautiful when she laughed. At this moment, Chiu Mu-Ching's beauty was comparable to Ke and Li Fei. Chiu Mu-Ching's cheeks flushed when she saw Duanling Tian looking at her in a daze. Even her neck was flushed red. She looked as shy as a young girl. "Toad?" Dong Fangzhu, who was sitting opposite Duanling Tian and Chiu Mu-Ching, was stunned when he heard Duanling Tian's words. He was not stupid. Naturally, he knew Duanling Tian was referring to him as a toad. However, he did not expect Duanling Tian would dare to offend him. He did not expect someone would dare to call him a toad in Clarity City. When Dong Fangzhu regained his senses, he saw Chiu Mu-Ching acting shy in front of Duanling Tian. He was so furious that he could not suppress his anger at all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Finally, after taking a few deep breaths, Dong Fangzhu lost his temper. "Brat, you're seeking death!" Dong Fangzhu shouted as he rose to his feet. Without saying a word, he clenched his right hand into a fist that was surrounded by Saint energy and charged toward Duanling Tian. "Watch out!" Chiu Mu-Ching, who was acting shy in front of Duanling Tian, was horrified when she saw Dong Fangzhu attacking Duanling Tian. She hastily stood up to stop Dong Fangzhu. However, since her strength was on par with Dong Fangzhu, she did not have time to save Duanling Tian. Smack! While Chiu Mu-Ching was panicking, a crisp sound rang in the air. Then, a powerful shockwave swept out from the source of the sound, creating a hurricane in the restaurant. At the same time, the commotion at Duan Ling Tian's table had attracted the attention of all the customers in the restaurant. Ah, isn't that Dong Fangzhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang family? Isn't the white-clad woman standing opposite him Chiu Mu Qing, the eldest miss of the Chiu clan? So he's Chiu Mu Qing? As expected of the most beautiful woman in Clarity City. She's so beautiful that even the moon and flowers would be put to shame. Although the second young master of the Eastern Fang family is good-looking, he's not a good match for the eldest Miss Chiu in terms of appearance and bearing. I think so too. On the contrary, the purple-clothed youth beside first young Miss Chiu, no matter if it is appearance or temperament, is far superior to the Dongfang family's second young master. When he and first young Miss Chiu stand together, they really are like a golden couple. I think the eldest Miss Chiu is a good match for the purple-clad young man next to her. What are they doing? Are they jealous of each other? The customers in the restaurant began to discuss among themselves very quickly. They did not care about Dong Fangzhu's background at all. They spoke of their thoughts without any hesitation. In Clarity City, apart from the three great clans, sectless cultivators like them had their own alliances as well. For this reason, they were not worried the Eastern Fang family would seek revenge on them over such a trivial matter. Chiu Mu Qing's cheeks flushed when she heard the customer's words. At the same time, she stole a glance at Duan Ling Tian. She sighed in relief when she saw Duan Ling Tian was not looking at her. He's so strong? Chiu Mu Qing's eyes shone brightly when she saw Duan Ling Tian casually grabbing Dong Fangzhu's fist, causing Dong Fangzhu's face to turn red and his body to tremble. This purple-clad young man seems to be very strong. That's right. Dong Fangzhu is at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, but he's as weak as a 3-year-old child in front of this purple-clad young man. The second young master of the Eastern Fang family is only SOSO. He wants to marry the most beautiful woman in Clarity City with such a weak strength? He must be dreaming. In my opinion, only a prodigy like this purple-clad young man is worthy of the most beautiful woman in Clarity City. I think so too. A commotion broke out among the customers in the restaurant when they saw Dong Fangzhu was powerless in front of Duan Ling Tian. They were not stingy with their praise for Duan Ling Tian. Moreover, they even said that only a prodigy like Duan Ling Tian was worthy of the most beautiful woman in Clarity City, Chiu Mu Qing. Dong Fangzhu's face turned red when he heard the customer's words. However, the intense pain from his hand caused his face to turn red. His face was a mixture of red and green, making him look exceptionally interesting. I don't care who you are, you better let go of me now. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Dong Fangzhu roared angrily as he struggled. He did not hesitate to threaten Duan Ling Tian. This day next year will be the anniversary of my death? Duan Ling Tian's eyes turned cold when he heard Dong Fangzhu's words. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth as he called out to Hua Lao, who was in the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Hua Lao, help me devour his innate spiritual root. Devour his innate spiritual root in front of so many people? When Elder Hua saw the scene, he couldn't help but be stunned. Don't worry. With my current strength, I can easily suppress even the strongest person in this city. Duan Ling Tian said domineeringly. Based on his words, it was obvious he was extremely confident. The most powerful clan in Clarity City, the Feng clan, was only a third-rate force. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, there were only a handful of people whose cultivation base was at the Saint Celestial stage or above. Let alone those at the fourth form of the Saint Celestial stage or above, they might not even have a powerhouse at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. If that was the case, what did he have to fear? Duan Ling Tian was currently ranked at the 421st place on the Supreme Saint ranking. Although it was due to the Celestial Supreme Treasure, the Jasper Celestial Sword, it was still a part of his strength. Let's begin then. Upon hearing Duan Ling Tian's words, Hua Lao no longer hesitated. He called out to Duan Ling Tian and cooperated with Duan Ling Tian to devour Dong Fangzhu's innate spiritual root. It's only a yellow innate spiritual root. Soon after, Hua Lao's voice rang in the air. It's fine. No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. Let's slowly accumulate it. Duan Ling Tian replied indifferently. Chapter 2068. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the eyes of the customers in the restaurant, a whirlpool suddenly appeared around Duan Ling Tian's hand that was holding Dong Fangzhu's fist. The rapid vortex twisted in the void, causing the air to become turbulent. It was as if a stone had been smashed into a calm surface of water, causing circles of ripples to appear. Ah! The moment the vortex appeared, Everyone heard a heart-wrenching scream. It was Dong Fangzhu's scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. Right now, Dong Fangzhu's face was extremely hideous. His facial features were completely twisted together, and his entire body was trembling violently. It was as if he was enduring some kind of extreme pain. The pain made Dong Fangzhu's eyes bulge. What's he doing? This purple-clad young man seems to have some tricks up his sleeve. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to cause the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan to be in such pain. Judging from the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan's expression and his cries, it's as though he's in inhuman pain. I wonder how the purple-clad young man is doing this. There seems to be a powerful divine consciousness fluctuation between them. Could it be that he's using a soul attack to torture the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan? That's possible. While Duan Lingtian was fearlessly devouring Dong Fangzhu's innate spiritual root, the customers in the restaurant were in an uproar. Many of them were shocked by Duan Lingtian's mysterious technique. Many of them sensed a powerful divine consciousness fluctuation. They guessed Duan Lingtian was using a soul attack to torture Dong Fangzhu. However, they did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so powerful. They did not expect Duan Lingtian would know how to devour other people's innate spiritual roots to strengthen his own innate spiritual root. They did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so powerful. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was using this technique to devour Dong Fangzhu's innate spiritual root. The white-clad woman standing next to Duan Lingtian, the young miss of Clarity City's Chiu clan, Chiu Muqing, was shocked by Duan Lingtian's strength. Now that she had seen Dong Fangzhu in so much pain at the hands of Duan Lingtian, she couldn't help but feel pity for him. Dong Fangzhu continued to scream in agony. A miserable cry that was like a pig being slaughtered entered into the ears of all the customers in the restaurant, and it caused their hair to stand on end as if they felt the same way. Right now, apart from Dong Fangzhu himself, no one else could understand his pain. The pain he felt now didn't come from his body, but from his soul. At this moment, Dong Fangzhu felt as if his soul was on fire. A terrifying force was pulling out a part of his soul, making him feel as if his soul was being refined. Fortunately, there was one thing. That terrifying power came quickly and left quickly as well. After a short while, his soul returned to normal. He heaved a long sigh of relief, but his robes were drenched in sweat. At the same time, he was panting heavily, feeling as if he had just taken a trip around the gates of hell. Bang! Dong Fangzhu was still panting when another loud sound rang in the air. Duan Lingtian had let go of Dong Fangzhu's fist and sent him flying with a palm strike. Dong Fangzhu was completely unprepared when he was sent flying through the window and landed on the street outside. A commotion broke out on the street immediately. Many people recognized Dong Fangzhu. Isn't that the second young master of the Dong Fang clan? Why is he in such a wretched state? I think he flew out of the restaurant. From the looks of it, he seems to have suffered a great loss. In Clarity City, I'm afraid only the lineal disciples of the Feng clan would dare to do this to the second young master of the Dong Fang clan. I wonder which young genius from the Feng clan did this. A group of people surrounded Dong Fangzhu and discussed among themselves. They were all shocked by Dong Fangzhu's encounter. It was rare to see the second young master of the Dong Fang clan being tortured like this. Barf! After spitting out a large mouthful of blood, Dong Fangzhu viciously glanced back at the restaurant behind him and left in a sorry state as the onlookers pointed at him. No matter who you are, I Dong Fangzhu won't let you go today. You're going to die. Dong Fangzhu, who was on his way back to the Dongfang family's residence, secretly hardened his heart. He was prepared to return to the Dongfang family and complain to his father. He wanted his father to send experts from the family to help him get back his face. He wanted to kill the purple-clad young man to avenge the humiliation he had suffered earlier. Meanwhile, in the restaurant, Duan Lingtian, who had sent Dong Fangzhu flying with just a palm strike, sat down gracefully under the watchful eyes of the customers in the restaurant. Miss Chiu, please take a seat. At the same time, Duan Lingtian gestured for Chiu Muqing to take a seat. Chiu Muqing only regained her senses when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. When she looked at Duan Lingtian again, there was no longer a hint of joy in her eyes. Instead, there was a hint of worry in her eyes. You should leave Clarity City as soon as possible. Dong Fangzhu must have returned to the Dongfang clan to call for help. You won't be able to leave when the powerhouse from the Dongfang clan arrives. Chiu Muqing urged Duan Lingtian to leave as soon as she spoke. She had a good impression of this young man who was different from ordinary men. She did not want to see him suffer in the hands of the powerhouse from the Dongfang clan. Due to this reason, she urged him to leave immediately. The customers in the restaurant nodded when they heard Chiu Mu-ching's words. They also felt the purple-clad young man should leave. Now was the best time for him to leave. If he left any later, the powerhouse from the Dongfang clan would definitely arrive. Young Miss Chiu, thank you for your kindness. However, Duan Lingtian shook his head when he heard Chiu Mu-ching's reminder. I still have something to do in Clarity City. I won't leave for the time being. That was right. He had come to Clarity City to find out more about the villains in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Naturally, he would not leave until he found out more about them. The Dongfang clan? Duan Lingtian did not care about a mere third-rate force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Waiter, give me another set of cutlery. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, Duan Lingtian called out to the restaurant's waiter and asked him to add another set of chopsticks and bowls. Duan Lingtian had his own cutlery, so he must have asked the waiter to get another set of cutlery for Chiu Mu-ching. Is he not afraid of death? This was the thought running through the minds of the customers and the waiter in the restaurant. Waiter, there's no need for that. Chiu Mu-ching stopped the waiter when he was hesitating if he should get another set of cutlery. At the same time, she raised her hand and placed a few saint stones on the table as payment for Duan Lingtian's dishes. Come with me. Chiu Mu-ching grabbed Duan Lingtian's hand at lightning speed after she placed the saint stones on the table. She led Duan Lingtian out of the restaurant in a hurry. At this moment, she seemed to have forgotten that men and women should not touch each other. Duan Lingtian was in a daze when he was forcefully dragged out of the restaurant by Chiu Mu-ching. He even forgot to reject her. He was shocked by Chiu Mu-ching's actions. Just now, why didn't he see that this noble lady had such a valiant side? Chiu Mu-ching held Duan Lingtian's hand as they left the restaurant in a hurry. Naturally, they attracted the attention of many people on the street. Isn't that the young miss of the Chiu clan? The young miss of the Chiu clan? The most beautiful woman in Clarity City? It's really her. Heavens! What did I just see? The young miss of the Chiu clan is holding a man's hand? Didn't they say she's going to be engaged to Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Dongfang family? What's going on here? It seems like Dongfang Zhu was chased out of the restaurant earlier. Now the young miss of the Chiu clan is holding a man's hand. Could it be that the person who chased Dongfang Zhu out of the restaurant wasn't from the Feng clan, but the man holding the young miss of the Chiu clan's hand? The passers-by discussed among themselves when they saw Chiu Mu-ching leaving with Duan Lingtian. Many men were pounding their chests and stamping their feet. They felt as though their hearts had been shattered. Chiu Mu-ching, the young miss of the Chiu clan, was the most beautiful woman in Clarity City. However, she had taken the initiative to hold a man's hand. No wonder the young miss of the Chiu clan was unwilling to marry Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Dongfang family. As it turns out, she already has someone in her heart. Many of the passers-by speculated. However, as the customers left the restaurant, the passers-by began to learn more about what had happened. That purple-clad young man didn't know the young miss of the Chiu clan at all? Are you sure? Does this mean the young miss of the Chiu clan fell in love with the purple-clad young man at first sight? She would rather sit next to a stranger than sit next to Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Dongfang family. Poor Dongfang Zhu. He was defeated by a stranger. If that's the case, Dongfang Zhu is really pitiful. However, why do I feel like this isn't the first day the young miss of the Chiu clan met the purple-clad young man? I think it's not the first day they met. Perhaps they knew each other beforehand and pretended not to know each other in front of Dongfang Zhu. Otherwise, why would the young miss of the Chiu clan take the initiative to hold his hand? The passers-by found it hard to believe Chiu Mu-ching, the young miss of the Chiu clan, would take the initiative to hold a man's hand. Even Chiu Mu-ching did not expect she would take the initiative to hold a man's hand one day. Chiu Mu-ching held Duan Lingtian's hand and led him away from the restaurant. After they entered a secluded alley, Chiu Mu-ching finally relaxed. Chapter 2069. Chiu Mu-ching's beautiful face blushed when she let go of Duan Lingtian's hand. Even her neck seemed to be affected by the blush. She seemed to be even more embarrassed. Earlier, when she heard Duan Lingtian was unwilling to leave Clarity City, she did not know why, but she felt anxious. When Duan Lingtian asked the restaurant's waiter to refill her bowl and chopsticks, she could not suppress the anxiety in her heart. Not only did she immediately stop the waiter, but she also hurriedly pulled Duan Lingtian's hand and held his hand as they left after paying the bill for him. At that moment, her heart was burning with anxiety. She had completely thrown all the things like men and women should not touch each other, and a woman's reserve, to the back of her mind. Now that she thought about it, she was certain. Today was definitely the craziest day in her life. She actually took the initiative to hold a man's hand. Moreover, it was a man whose name she did not even know. If this was before, she would not have believed she would be so crazy. However, the truth was right in front of her eyes. She had no choice but to believe it. Could it be that I've fallen for him? At the same time, a thought appeared in Qiu Muqing's mind, but she quickly dismissed it. Impossible. This is my first time seeing him. How can I possibly fall for him? Even if he's different from other men, I only have a good impression of him. I don't think I like him. I don't think I like him at all. Qiu Muqing tried to justify her earlier actions. When Qiu Muqing let go of his hand, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to dig a hole in the ground and hide in it. Cough cough. Duanling Tian let out a few dry coughs to break the awkward atmosphere. Miss Qiu, where are you bringing me? You're no longer safe in Clarity City? You should leave Clarity City. Qiu Muqing regained her senses when she heard Duanling Tian's voice. However, she did not dare to look at Duanling Tian. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Duanling Tian felt warmth in his heart when he sensed Qiu Muqing's concern for him. He smiled faintly and said, Moreover, I really have something to do in Clarity City, so I can't leave for now. If that's the case, then follow me back to the Qiu family. Qiu Muqing did not try to dissuade Duanling Tian. She pondered for a moment before she said, Duanling Tian's stubbornness. As soon as Qiu Muqing finished speaking, she seemed to have thought of something. The redness on her face returned to normal as she explained. Don't misunderstand. I just feel that. I feel that the conflict between you and Dongfangzhu was entirely because of me, so I don't want anything to happen to you. Although Qiu Muqing tried to explain to Duanling Tian, she felt that her explanation was useless. I don't think there's a need for that. Duanling Tian knew Qiu Muqing meant well, but he rejected her tactfully. After all, he was not afraid of the Eastern Fang family at all. It would be fine if the Eastern Fang family did not come looking for trouble with him. Otherwise he would not hesitate. No matter how many people came looking for him, he would kill them all. I'll feel uneasy if you don't follow me back. Come back with me. If you follow me back to the Qiu family, I'll inform my father that you're a guest of the Qiu family. Qiu Muqing became anxious when she saw Duanling Tian had rejected her suggestion. If you're a guest of the Qiu family, even the clan leader of the Eastern Fang family won't dare to do anything to you. The Qiu family isn't afraid of the Eastern Fang family. All right, I'll follow you back. Duanling Tian's heart softened when he saw Qiu Muqing was so anxious that she was about to cry. He agreed to Qiu Muqing's request without hesitation. Qiu Muqing's kindness touched Duanling Tian's heart. She was a good girl after all. A bright smile appeared on Qiu Muqing's face when she heard Duanling Tian's reply. She looked like a child who had just snatched a piece of candy. Qiu Muqing's charm increased when she smiled. Even Duanling Tian, who was caught off guard, fell into a daze. Let's go. Qiu Muqing's face flushed when she saw Duanling Tian's gaze. She called out to Duanling Tian and brought Duanling Tian back to the Qiu clan. Young Mississippi, a few Qiu clan's disciples who were guarding the entrance of the Qiu clan's estate bowed respectfully when they saw Qiu Muqing. All right. Qiu Muqing nodded at them before she called out to Duanling Tian and entered the Qiu clan's estate. At this moment, the Qiu clan's disciples finally noticed Duanling Tian. They were shocked. After a long while, they finally regained their senses. Naturally, they were shocked when they regained their senses. Heavens! Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Young Miss brought a man back? I'm not dreaming, am I? Is she really the young miss of Qiu clan? Who's that man? The young miss actually brought him back to the Qiu clan. It seems like their relationship is not ordinary. The Qiu clan's disciples looked at each other. Their voices were filled with shock and disbelief. After all, the young miss of Qiu clan had only brought a man back. She had never been so intimate with a man before. Even if she had gone out with Dongfangzhu, the second young master of the Dongfang clan, she had been forced to do so. As Qiu clan's disciples, they knew this very well. However, not only had the young miss of Qiu clan been intimate with a man, but she had even brought him back to the Qiu clan. To them, this was definitely a very shocking and inconceivable thing. Let alone the Qiu clan's disciples who were guarding the entrance, even the Qiu clan's disciples, servants, and maids were shocked when they saw Qiu Muqing bringing Duanling Tian into the Qiu clan's estate. The young miss brought a strange man back to the clan? For a time, this unbelievable news spread like wildfire in the Qiu family, causing quite a stir in the Qiu family. After Chiu Mu-ching brought Duan Lingtian back to the Chiu clan, she arranged for Duan Lingtian to stay in a room in her residence. As the young miss of Chiu clan, Chiu Mu-ching had her own independent residence in the Chiu clan's estate. There were many rooms in the residence. Apart from the maids' rooms, there were also rooms for guests. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was the first guest in Chiu Mu-ching's residence. "Young Miss Chiu, is it appropriate for you to arrange for me to stay in your residence? This won't affect your reputation, right?" Duan Lingtian asked with a wry smile on his face. "Why don't you just arrange for me to stay outside?" Duan Lingtian suggested after a wry smile on his face. Although he knew Chiu Mu-ching had good intentions and he was not afraid of the Eastern Fang clan, he did not want to ruin this kind woman's reputation. The Dao martial Saint Land was similar to Earth in his past life. A woman's reputation was extremely important. "It's all right. Don't worry and stay here. I'll go look for my father and greet him. From now on you're my friend and a guest of the Chiu clan." Chiu Mu-ching blushed when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. She bade farewell to Duan Lingtian and instructed a few maids to take care of Duan Lingtian before she left in a hurry. A warm feeling rose in Duan Lingtian's heart when he saw Chiu Mu-ching's departing figure. The maids looked at Duan Lingtian in shock and disbelief. This was their first time seeing their young miss bringing a man back to the Chiu clan. Moreover, she had arranged for him to stay in her residence. If news of this spread out, their young miss would not be able to get married. "I'm Duan Lingtian." Duan Lingtian transmitted his voice to Chiu Mu-ching when she was about to disappear from his sight. Chiu Mu-ching had done so much for him. He could not possibly hide his name from her, right? Duan Lingtian. Chiu Mu-ching's eyes lit up when she heard the name, and the blush on her face deepened. Chiu Mu-ching went to look for her father, the clan leader of Chiu clan. At the center of Clarity City. Outside the restaurant that Chiu Mu-ching and Duan Lingtian had just left. A tall and sturdy figure, escorted by 2 servants, arrived near the restaurant. "I can't believe the most beautiful woman in Clarity City, Chiu Mu-ching, has been taken by someone just like that." At the same time, a voice rang in the ears of the tall and sturdy middle-aged man. His eyes lit up immediately. "Qing and Dong Fangzhu have made progress? That's great. In that case, our Chiu clan will be able to form a perfect alliance with the Eastern Fang clan. We won't have to be afraid of the Feng clan anymore." The tall and sturdy middle-aged man was none other than Chiu Gang-yi, the second master of Chiu clan. He was the one who strongly advocated the marriage between the Chiu clan and the Eastern Fang clan. Even when Chiu Mu-ching was forced to go on a date with Dong Fangzhu, he was the one who instigated the clan leader of Chiu clan to do Chiu Mu-ching's work with him. Chiu Mu-ching was a filial daughter. When she saw her father in a difficult position, she decided to go along with it. However, she would rather die than marry Dong Fangzhu. She only went out with Dong Fangzhu because she did not want to put her father in a difficult position. Moreover, she also wanted to deal with the second master of Chiu clan, Chiu Gang-yi. Chiu Mu-ching was a person, not an item. Nobody could force her to do something she did not want to do. What? It's not Dong Fangzhu? It's the man who tortured Dong Fangzhu? Chapter 2070. Not too long ago, a stranger had beaten up Dong Fangzhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang family, in front of Chiu Mu-ching and everyone else. Moreover, Chiu Mu-ching had even held the stranger's hand and left the restaurant in a swaggering manner. Chiu Gang-yi, the second master of Chiu clan, almost fainted from anger when he learned about this. His face had turned green from anger. In the end, his face turned purple. Chiu Gang-yi's eyes were wide open as he said in a deep voice, "Chiu Mu-ching is getting more and more presumptuous. Could it be that she doesn't know her actions will push our Chiu clan to the opposite side of the Dongfang clan? Let's go. Let's return to the clan." Chiu Gang-yi took a deep breath and called out to the servants behind him. Then, he looked in the direction of the Chiu clan's estate coldly. "I'm going back to the clan to ask Chiu Mu-ching what kind of man he is for her to disregard her manners and hold his hand in front of so many people." Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly as he thought to himself, "I'm going to ask Chiu Mu-ching what kind of man he is." After this incident, the marriage between the Chiu clan and the Eastern Fang family will be ruined. There's no way the Eastern Fang family will accept a woman whose reputation has been tarnished. Chiu Gang-yi's expression darkened when he thought about this. After all, a clan like the Eastern Fang family valued their reputation the most. Today, the young miss of the Chiu clan, Chiu Mu-ching, held a man's hand as they left the restaurant. Many people had seen this. This was enough to tarnish her reputation. For a powerful clan like the Eastern Fang family, there was no way they would accept such a woman. Chiu Mu-ching has been spoiled by the clan leader. It's one thing for her to cause trouble, but this time she's done something so disgraceful. She's even destroyed the good relationship between the Chiu clan and the Dongfang clan that we've built over the years. Even if the clan leader wants to protect her, he won't be able to protect her. She must be severely punished. Chiu Gangyi's expression darkened as he made his way back to the Chiu clan's estate. At this moment, he was still unaware Chiu Mu-ching had brought the stranger back to the Chiu clan and allowed him to stay in her own independent residence. Second Master. Second Master. A few Chiu clan's disciples who were guarding the entrance of the Chiu clan's estate bowed respectfully when they saw Chiu Gangyi. You guys, have you seen Eldest Miss? Is she back? Chiu Gangyi asked a few clan's disciples. Yes. One's disciple nodded. Not only did she come back, Eldest Miss also brought back a guest. Another Chiu Gang's disciples. Guest? Chiu Gangyi narrowed his eyes when he heard what the Chiu clan disciple said. His breathing quickened as he asked coldly, the person the first miss brought back. Is he a young man in purple? Now Chiu Gangyi's tone was even colder, making people feel as if they had fallen into an ice cave. Master, the Chiu clan's disciples hurriedly nodded when they heard Chiu Gangyi's strange tone. Did the second master know the young man the young miss brought back? Rebellion. Rebellion. Chiu Gangyi almost fainted from anger when he heard the Chiu clan's disciples' confirmation. He took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. In his opinion, Chiu Gangyi was furious. Earlier, Chiu Mu-ching had brought the stranger who had humiliated the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, Dongfang Zhu, out of the restaurant. She had openly offended the Eastern Fang clan and pushed the Chiu clan to the opposite side of the Eastern Fang clan. However, Chiu Mu-ching had brought the stranger who had humiliated Dongfang Zhu back to the Chiu clan. Would the Chiu clan and the Eastern Fang clan still have room to maneuver? Chiu Gangyi's face turned green again. The Chiu clan's disciples who were guarding the entrance did not even dare to breathe loudly. Thud, thud, thud. Following that, Chiu Gangyi made a move and strode into the Chiu clan's mansion. His aura was fierce as though he was going to interrogate someone. When Chiu Gangyi returned to the Chiu clan, Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, had arrived at the restaurant in the center of Clarity City. However, Dongfang Zhu did not come alone this time. Beside him were two old men in gray. They were the helpers that he had found in the Dongfang clan. They were also the elders of the Dongfang clan. They left. After entering the restaurant, Dongfang Zhu discovered the purple-clad young man who had humiliated him and the young miss of the Chiu clan, Chiu Mu-ching, had left. He had returned too late. Dongfang Zhu's expression darkened immediately. Why is that fellow so cowardly? He left just like that? However, he soon learned from the customers in the restaurant that Chiu Mu-ching had persuaded the purple-clad young man to leave. When the purple-clad young man did not intend to leave, Chiu Mu-ching had held his hand and left the restaurant in front of everyone. Chiu Mu-ching held that fellow's hand and left? Initially, Dongfang Zhu found it hard to believe. He was certain Chiu Mu-ching didn't know that man before today, unlike the others who thought she had known him for a long time. How could Chiu Mu-ching hold the hand of a man she did not know before today? The first thing that came to his mind when he heard this was impossible. However, when he heard the customer's confirmation, he recalled Chiu Mu-ching's shy expression in front of the purple-clad young man. Although he was unwilling to believe it, he had no choice but to believe it. Slut. Slut. Dongfang Zhu was so infuriated that he almost vomited blood as he cursed out loud. He did not expect Chiu Mu-ching would be so rude. He did not expect Chiu Mu-ching, who had always been pure and innocent, to be so slutty in front of a man she did not know. For a moment, Dongfang Zhu was so angry that he couldn't control his anger. Chiu Mu-ching is so shameless. She's not worthy of being a member of the Eastern Fang clan. The two elders of the Dongfang family who came with Dongfang Zhu were furious when they heard the words of the customers in the restaurant. They felt Chiu Mu-ching's actions were like a slap to the face of the Eastern Fang clan. At this moment in Clarity City, was there anyone who did not know the Eastern Fang clan and the Chiu clan were going to have a marriage alliance? Was there anyone who did not know the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, Dongfang Zhu, and the eldest miss of the Chiu clan, Chiu Mu-ching? However, today Chiu Mu-ching had disregarded the most important thing for a woman and hooked up with a wild man in public. This was a great humiliation to the Eastern Fang clan. Dongfang Zhu and the two elders from the Eastern Fang clan were still furious when they heard the news from the Chiu clan. Chiu Mu-ching, the eldest miss of the Chiu clan, brought a purple-clad man back to the Chiu clan. She even allowed him to stay in her own mansion. The three elders from the Eastern Fang clan were furious when Chiu Mu-ching held another man's hand in public. They felt Chiu Mu-ching was humiliating the Eastern Fang clan and slapping the Eastern Fang clan's face. But now, when they heard this news, they were instantly enraged to the point that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Slut. Slut. Dong Fangzhu continued to curse. His eyes shone viciously as he roared inwardly, I, Dong Fangzhu, swear that even if I can't marry you, I'll make you beg for mercy under my crotch. I'll make you regret what you've done today. Chiu Mu-ching, the Chiu clan? Very good. Very good. At this moment, even the two elders from the Eastern Fang clan were furious. At the same time, they could clearly sense the strange gazes from the customers in the restaurant. They were so embarrassed that they wished they could dig a hole in the ground and hide. Naturally, they knew Chiu Mu-ching's actions had humiliated the Eastern Fang clan. As members of the Eastern Fang clan, it was only natural that they were humiliated as well. Second young master, let's return to the clan. This matter is no longer your personal matter, it's the Eastern Fang clan's matter. Chiu Mu-ching and the Chiu clan have gone too far. They've gone too far. Soon after, one of the elders from the Eastern Fang clan called out to Dong Fangzhu before he flew out of the restaurant. He did not want to stay in the restaurant any longer. Chiu clan Chiu Mu-ching. Very good. Very good. The other elder of the Dongfang family was also enraged to the extreme. He once again said, very good, with a hint of sarcasm, then followed behind the elder of the Dongfang family and left. After the two elders of the Dongfang family left, Dong Fangzhu, whose face was twisted into a hideous expression, also left the restaurant in a dejected manner. Similarly, he could not stand the gazes from the customers in the restaurant. The Eastern Fang clan has really embarrassed themselves this time. After the three people from the Dongfang family left, the group of customers in the restaurant no longer had to suppress the thoughts in their hearts. One of them took the lead to sigh. Isn't that so? Everyone in Clarity City knows the Eastern Fang clan and the Chiu clan are going to have a marriage alliance. The Chiu clan's marriage partner is the young miss of the Chiu clan, Chiu Mu-ching. Today, Chiu Mu-ching's actions have completely ruined the marriage alliance. It's said that Chiu Mu-ching didn't want to agree to the marriage alliance in the first place. This is exactly what she wanted. Even so, her actions today are like a slap to the Eastern Fang clan's face. Her actions today are an unbearable humiliation to the Eastern Fang clan. That's right. If the Eastern Fang clan doesn't do anything to salvage the situation, they'll become the laughingstock of Clarity City. Initially, the customers in the restaurant were the only ones who were talking about the incident. It wasn't long before the entire Clarity City was filled with similar discussions. Chapter 2071. The three men from the Eastern Fang clan, including Dong Fangzhu, quickly returned to the Eastern Fang clan's mansion after they left the restaurant. They immediately went to look for the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan, Dong Fangzhu's father. Dong Fangqian. Father. Dong Fangzhu was furious when he saw Dong Fangqian. He complained agitatedly, Chiu Mu-ching, the young miss of the Chiu clan, and the Chiu clan have gone too far. They've gone too far. What happened? Dong Fangqian's expression darkened when he saw his son losing his composure. He could not help but frown. About half an hour ago, his son had come to look for him and asked for two of the Eastern Fang clan's powerhouses at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. They were the two Eastern Fang clan's elders who were standing behind Dong Fangzhu. However, he did not expect that his son would bring people back not long after he left with them. Moreover, he even said that Chiu Mu-ching and the Chiu clan had gone too far. Father, I wanted to bring the two elders to teach that fellow a lesson. However, when we returned to the restaurant, that fellow had already left with Chiu Mu-ching. Dong Fangzhu's expression was unsightly as he continued to say, moreover, Chiu Mu-ching was the one who held that fellow's hand as they left. After that, we heard that Chiu Mu-ching brought that fellow back to the Chiu clan and arranged for him to stay in her mansion. As far as I know, her independent mansion has never accepted an outsider to live in since the beginning. That fellow was the first person she had ever accepted. Dong Fangzhu's eyes were bloodshot when he spoke. It was obvious he knew Chiu Mu-ching very well. It was exactly because of this that he was so furious. Chiu Mu-ching had always been his woman. However, she had taken the initiative to hold another man's hand and even brought him back to her mansion. Dong Fangzhu felt like he was going crazy when he thought about this. What? Dong Fangqian's expression darkened when he heard Dong Fangzhu's words. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Chiu Mu-ching actually did something so immoral? Clan leader. One of the Eastern Fang clan's elders who had returned with Dong Fangzhu said angrily, Chiu Mu-ching and the Chiu clan have gone too far. Currently, there's no one in Clarity City who doesn't know Chiu Mu-ching from the Chiu clan is going to become your daughter-in-law. Her actions today are an insult to the Dongfang clan. Yes, Patriarch. Another elder from the Dongfang clan said angrily, if our Dongfang clan doesn't handle this matter well, I'm afraid our Dongfang clan won't be able to hold our heads high in Clarity City in the future. At that time, no one will put our Dongfang family in their eyes. This matter must be handled properly. Dongfang Qian's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at the two elders from the Eastern Fang clan and asked, Elders, what do you think about this matter? Clan leader, I suggest you personally lead a team to the Chiu clan to denounce them. We must ask the Chiu clan and Chiu Mu-ching to give us an explanation for what happened today. One of the elders from the Eastern Fang clan said in a deep voice. Apart from that, the Chiu clan must also hand over Chiu Mu-ching and the purple-clad young man to the Eastern Fang clan for punishment. Moreover, the Chiu clan must agree to the Eastern Fang clan's request to annul the engagement. That's right. The other elder from the Eastern Fang clan nodded in agreement. News of Chiu Mu-ching's actions must have spread in Clarity City. If we accept her, we'll become the laughingstock of Clarity City. For this reason, the engagement must be annulled by the Eastern Fang clan. The Eastern Fang clan must tell everyone in Clarity City that it's us who rejected Chiu Mu-ching. It's not Chiu Mu-ching who looked down on us. As the Dongfang family elder spoke, his words fell to the ground with conviction. I'll definitely lead a team to denounce the Chiu clan for this matter. Otherwise, do they really think there's no one in the Eastern Fang clan? Dongfang Qian said coldly, as for annulling the engagement, that's a must as well. There's no way the Eastern Fang clan will accept such a woman. It shouldn't be difficult for the Chiu clan to hand over the purple-clad young man. However, I'm afraid it won't be easy for the Chiu clan to hand over Chiu Mu-ching. That shameless girl is the lifeblood of the Chiu clan's patriarch, Chiu and-ping. It's impossible for him to hand her over. Dongfang Qian frowned when he reached the end of his sentence. Father. We must make the Chiu clan hand over that slut Chiu Mu-ching. Right at that moment, Dongfang Zhu interjected. Dongfang Zhu's eyes shone with a cold and lecherous gleam when he spoke. He could not wait to capture Chiu Mu-ching and bring her to the Eastern Fang clan for him to do whatever he wanted with her. He wanted to possess the woman he wanted even in his dreams. Even if it was impossible for him to marry her. I understand how you feel, but it's impossible for the Chiu clan to hand over Chiu Mu-ching. Dongfang Qian said to Dongfang Zhu. Second young master, the clan leader is right. At the same time, an elder from the Eastern Fang clan standing next to Dongfang Zhu said, Chiu Mu-ching is Chiu and-ping's only daughter. He's willing to risk his life for Chiu Mu-ching. For this reason, it's impossible for the Chiu clan to hand over Chiu Mu-ching. Second young master, we know you hate Chiu Mu-ching, but it's impossible for the Chiu clan to hand her over. Another elder from the Eastern Fang clan chimed in. Dongfang Zhu fell silent when he heard this. Actually, how could he not know this? However, he was still unwilling to accept this. Naturally, he knew it was impossible for him to change this fact even if he was unwilling to accept it. I promise you. After this incident, I'll find an opportunity to secretly kidnap Chiu Mu-ching and bring her to you so you can do whatever you want with her. This time, you can vent your anger on that purple-clad young man first. Dongfang Qian felt sorry for his son, so he quickly comforted him. Dongfang Zhu's eyes lit up when he heard Dongfang Qian's words. He quickly expressed his gratitude. Thank you, father. The three of you wait in the front courtyard. I'll look for the Grand Elder and the Second Elder to tell them about this. Soon after, Dongfang Qian said, I believe they'll be as angry as we are about Chiu Mu-ching's actions and the Chiu clan's indulgence of her actions. I'll meet up with all of you after I've told them about this. As soon as Dongfang Qian finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Dongfang Zhu and the other two elders. As a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, his speed was so fast that Dongfang Zhu and the other two elders could not even catch a glimpse of him. However, after Dongfang Qian left, they obediently waited in the front courtyard of the Eastern Fang clan's estate. Just as Dongfang Qian had said, the Grand Elder and the Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan were furious when they heard about Chiu Mu-ching's actions. After all, Chiu Mu-ching's actions had crossed the line of the Eastern Fang clan. Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan, brought the Grand Elder, the Second Elder, and the generals of the Eastern Fang clan out of the Eastern Fang clan's estate after they met up with Dongfang Zhu and the other two elders. They flew in the direction of the Chiu clan's estate. Along the way, the group of people who were in a hurry naturally attracted the attention of many passers-by. Isn't that Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan? Many passers-by raised their heads and looked at the group of people flying across the sky. Their faces were full of surprise. The Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan, Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, is here as well. They're flying in the direction of the Qiu clan's estate. It seems like they're going to the Qiu clan to denounce them. Many people had heard about Qiu Muqing's actions today. Therefore they could guess why Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan, had brought the people from the Eastern Fang clan to the Eastern Fang clan. Come to think of it, the eldest young miss of the Qiu clan is really bold. Not only did she protect the person who humiliated the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, but she even brought him back to the Qiu clan and allowed him to stay in her independent mansion. Isn't it obvious that she has a special relationship with that person? Qiu Muqing's actions are like a slap to the Eastern Fang clan's face. It's no wonder Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan, personally made a move. It seems like the power structure in Clarity City is going to change soon. After this incident, the Qiu clan and the Eastern Fang clan are no longer on the same side. This is going to give the Feng clan an opportunity to take advantage of this. From today onward, the Feng clan will be the sole ruler of Clarity City. A woman has destroyed 2 clans. She's really a femme fatale. The man Qiu Muqing brought back to the Qiu clan is going to lose a layer of skin even if he doesn't die. Many people could not help but discuss among themselves when they saw the people from the Eastern Fang clan making their way to the Qiu clan's estate. Based on their words, they felt Qiu Muqing was a femme fatale. At the same time, they felt Duan Lingtian, the purple-clad young man Qiu Muqing brought back to the Qiu clan, was going to suffer. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of the commotion outside. At this moment, Duan Lingtian and Qiu Muqing, the young miss of Qiu clan, had just returned from visiting the clan leader of Qiu clan, Qiu Ping. They were sitting at a stone table in the pavilion in the front yard of Qiu Muqing's mansion. Miss Qiu, you didn't tell your father my name, right? Suddenly, Duan Lingtian seemed to have recalled something, and he could not help but ask. After Qiu Muqing left, Duan Lingtian realized his name was a burden to others as well. Chapter 2072. Although the high-ranking officials of Zoroastrianism whom he had offended were not very powerful, it would not be difficult for them to annihilate a third-rate force like the Qiu clan. For this reason, after he told Qiu Muqing his name, he regretted not reminding Qiu Muqing not to tell anyone else his name. This included her father, the clan leader of Qiu clan. No. Although Qiu Muqing did not know why Duan Lingtian asked this question, she shook her head immediately and said, I just went to see my father. I just went to find my father and told him everything that happened today. He should be at the Great Elder's place now, discussing with the Great Elder how to deal with the Dongfang family. However, he promised me that he'll protect you. You can stay in the Qiu clan. You don't have to worry about the Eastern Fang clan. Qiu Muqing comforted Duan Lingtian when she reached the end of her sentence. Miss Qiu, you don't have to worry about the Eastern Fang clan. I, Duan Lingtian, am not afraid of the Eastern Fang clan. Duan Lingtian said nonchalantly. However, his expression turned solemn as soon as he finished speaking. He quickly reminded Qiu Muqing, however, from now on, please don't tell anyone my name, including your father, Miss Qiu. Naturally, Qiu Muqing did not take Duan Lingtian's words seriously. Although she had witnessed Duan Lingtian's strength, she knew Duan Lingtian was not weak. However, she did not think Duan Lingtian was strong enough to deal with the entire Eastern Fang clan. At the very least, she did not think Duan Lingtian was strong enough to deal with the entire Eastern Fang clan. However, Qiu Muqing was stunned when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. She could not figure out why Duan Lingtian was hiding his name. In the end, Qiu Muqing decided not to voice her doubts. After all, everyone had their own secrets. She believed Duan Lingtian must have his reasons for saying so. He must have some special circumstances that made it inconvenient for him to reveal his name for the time being. All right. Qiu Muqing nodded and said, Don't worry, I won't tell anyone your name without your permission. Upon hearing Qiu Muqing's words, Duan Lingtian nodded with a smile. He was not afraid no matter how much trouble he caused in Clarity City. However, he did not plan to reveal his name in Clarity City. This was because he was worried that once his name was exposed, the 3 high-ranking officials from the fire worship sect whom he had offended would know that he had come to Clarity City and had a relationship with the Qiu clan, one of the 3 major clans in Clarity City. Duan Lingtian, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall, Dong Yuanjin, the Vice Hall Master. However, he was 100% certain about the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame elder Lian. If Lian found out he had a relationship with the Chiu clan in Clarity City, he would definitely make a move against the Chiu clan. At that time, Chiu Muqing would definitely be implicated. For this reason, Duanling Tian asked Chiu Muqing not to tell anyone his name. This way he would be able to avoid future troubles. No matter how high profile he was in Clarity City, no one would associate him with Duanling Tian, the second most popular prodigy among the younger generation of the Zoroastrianism. You. After a moment of silence, Duanling Tian and Chiu Muqing spoke at the same time, trying to break the silence. However, even though they spoke at the same time, when they looked at each other, they spoke in unison. However, since both of them spoke at the same time, they did not continue. You first. You first. After a short moment, the two of them opened their mouths again and spoke in unison. Those who did not know might think that they had rehearsed this thousands of times. Otherwise, how could they be able to speak in unison twice in such a short period of time? Duanling Tian was still in a daze when Chiu Muqing chuckled. Her beautiful cheeks were flushed red as she shyly smiled like a young girl. When Duanling Tian was about to speak, a dark voice sounded from outside. A gloomy voice suddenly sounded from outside. It dispelled Duanling Tian's intention to speak. Chiu Muqing. His gloomy voice was mixed with a bit of anger as it came from afar. Duanling Tian could not help but frown. The smile on Chiu Muqing's face disappeared and was replaced by a displeased expression. But. At the same time, Duanling Tian heard a series of heavy footsteps approaching. It was a tall and sturdy middle-aged man. He led a group of people into Chiu Muqing's independent residence in a menacing manner. It was obvious they did not come with good intentions. The group of people behind the middle-aged man consisted of old men, middle-aged men, and young men. Their expressions were grave when they saw Chiu Muqing. Many of them were glaring at Chiu Muqing as though Chiu Muqing had done something unforgivable. Second uncle, elders, what's the meaning of this? Isn't it rude for you to barge in without permission? At this moment, Chiu Muqing stood up and walked out of the pavilion. Her expression darkened when she saw the menacing group of people approaching the pavilion. This was Chiu Muqing's independent residence and she was the owner. These people in front of her had trespassed into her residence without her permission. Not only were they being rude, they were also looking down on her. At this moment, the group of people who had barged into Chiu Muqing's residence was led by Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan. The people behind Chiu Gangyi were the elders of Chiu clan. They were the people Chiu Gangyi had gathered when he returned. These people were the elders of Chiu clan who wanted to force Chiu Muqing to marry Dong Fangzhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan. When they learned about Chiu Muqing's actions and realized the marriage between the Chiu clan and the Eastern Fang clan had been ruined, they were furious. All of them followed Chiu Gangyi to denounce Chiu Muqing. What? Chiu Muqing, you've already decided to destroy the Chiu clan. Are you going to stop us from barging into your residence? Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, looked at Chiu Muqing with a dark expression on his face as he said coldly, without the Chiu clan, do you think you'll be able to have your own independent mansion? What a joke. His tone was filled with mockery. Although Chiu Gangyi was the second master of Chiu clan, he was also a lineal disciple of Chiu clan. Chiu Muqing had to address him as second uncle. However, the blood relationship between him and Chiu Muqing was extremely weak. His grandfather and the grandfather of Chiu and Ping, the clan leader of Chiu clan, were cousins. Chiu Gangyi and Chiu and Ping were not related to each other by blood. Moreover, Chiu and Ping's daughter, Chiu Muqing, was the younger generation of Chiu and Ping. Naturally, it was not because he wanted to make things difficult for Chiu Muqing. In his heart, the Chiu clan's benefit was his priority. He did not care about Chiu Muqing's life or death. For this reason, he had instigated the elders of Chiu clan to force Chiu and Ping, the clan leader of Chiu clan, to persuade Chiu Muqing to marry into the Eastern Fang clan even though Chiu Muqing had made it clear she was unwilling to marry into the Eastern Fang clan. Destroy the Chiu clan? Chiu Muqing was stunned when she heard Chiu Gangyi's words. Then she asked coldly, "Second uncle, why do you say that?" "Why do I say that?" Chiu Gangyi smirked. Then he looked at the purple-clad young man standing next to Chiu Muqing who had just walked out of the pergola. He was none other than Duanling Tian. He said mockingly, "Is this the wild man you found outside? He's quite good-looking. Unfortunately, he offended the Eastern Fang clan. He's destined to die." The sneer on Chiu Gangyi's face deepened when he reached the end of his sentence. Wild man? Duanling Tian frowned when he heard Chiu Gangyi's words. However, he suppressed his anger and did not do anything. No matter what, the person before him was a member of the Chiu clan. If he acted rashly, he would put Chiu Mu-ching in a difficult position. For this reason he could only endure it for now. Naturally, he did not have to endure it forever. If he could not endure it, there was no need for him to endure it anymore. Swoosh. Chiu Mu-ching's expression changed drastically when she heard Chiu Gangyi's words. She could tolerate it if Chiu Gangyi insulted her. However, she could not tolerate it if he insulted Duan Lingtian and her friend. Chiu Gangyi, you better watch your mouth. What wild man? He's my friend. Chiu Mu-ching glared at Chiu Gangyi. Her voice seemed to have come from an ice cave, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop a few degrees. This was also the first time she had addressed Chiu Gangyi by his name. Chiu Gangyi was stunned when he heard Chiu Mu-ching calling him by his name. However, he was so angry that he laughed. Good. Very good. It seems like you've grown up. You actually dared to call me, your second uncle, by my name for a wild man. I'll say it again. He's my friend, not a wild man. Chiu Mu-ching's beautiful face was covered in a layer of frost. When she spoke again, her voice was even colder than before. It was so cold that it made one feel as though they had fallen into an ice cave. Based on Chiu Mu-ching's tone, one could tell she was furious. She was furious. You're Chiu Gangyi, right? When Duan Lingtian saw Chiu Mu-ching's anger, he knew there was no need for him to hold back anymore. He took a step forward and looked at Chiu Gangyi before he said in a deep voice, "You better listen to Miss Chiu and watch your mouth." Chiu Gangyi's attention was drawn to Duan Lingtian as soon as he took a step forward. Chiu Gangyi was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then he burst out laughing. After laughing for a while, he finally stopped laughing and looked at Duan Lingtian with an ice-cold gaze as he said disdainfully, "You're right." He said disdainfully, "Brat, don't think you can do whatever you want in the Chiu clan just because Chiu Mu-ching likes you. You're still too inexperienced in front of me." Chapter 2073. You're still too naive in front of me. Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, said disdainfully. He looked at Duan Lingtian condescendingly as though he was a superior looking down on a subordinate. Duan Lingtian was displeased by this. You think I'm still too naive in front of you? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as a cold glint flashed in his eyes. His tone was much deeper than before. If someone familiar with Duan Lingtian was here, they would be able to tell based on Duan Lingtian's reaction that Duan Lingtian was furious. Duan Lingtian was furious. What? Are you doubting my words? Chiu Gangyi sneered when he saw Duan Lingtian was displeased with his words. His eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at Duan Lingtian. A hint of arrogance could be seen in his eyes. Chiu Gangyi, that's enough. Chiu Mu-ching, who was standing behind Duan Lingtian, took a step forward and stood next to Duan Lingtian. She raised her beautiful eyebrows, and the coldness on her beautiful face intensified as she spoke in a low voice. Humph? Duan Lingtian snorted as the Sun Saint energy in his body surged. He was ready to teach Chiu Gangyi a lesson. Was it him or the Dongfang clan who was not to be trifled with? Duan Lingtian's robe fluttered as he prepared to attack. Second Master. At this moment, an anxious voice rang from outside Chiu Mu-ching's residence. Master, you're in the imperial residence. Based on the voice, it was obvious the person was not looking for Chiu Mu-ching. Instead, he was looking for Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan. Chiu Mu-ching's eyes turned even colder when she heard this. Thud, thud, thud. Following that, a series of hurried footsteps rang in the air. Duan Lingtian saw a middle-aged man rushing into the residence. A middle-aged man barged in anxiously. He ignored Chiu Mu-ching, the owner of the mansion, and rushed to Chiu Gangyi's side. Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Dongfang clan, has brought his second son, Dongfang Zhu, and the grand elder and second elder of the Dongfang clan to the Chiu clan. They want an explanation from the Chiu clan. The middle-aged man, who was an elder of the Chiu clan, reported. The content of his report could also be summarized into one sentence. The Dongfang clan has come to the Chiu clan. The Dongfang clan? Chiu Gangyi's expression darkened when he heard the middle-aged man's words. His eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Duan Lingtian and Chiu Mu-ching. The elders of the Chiu family who followed Chiu Gangyi were shocked. The people from the Dongfang clan are here? Moreover, Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Dongfang clan, is personally leading the group? One of the Chiu clan's elders had a grave expression on his face. He glared at Chiu Mu-ching and said in a deep voice, "Big sister, look at what you've done. It's one thing if you don't want to marry into the Chiu clan, but you even took in someone who humiliated the second young master of the Dongfang clan. You're playing with fire. You're openly making an enemy out of the Dongfang clan. In Clarity City, who doesn't know that our Chiu clan's eldest sister is going to marry into the Dongfang clan? However, today our Chiu clan's eldest sister openly held a wild man's hand in front of so many people in Clarity City and even brought him back to our Chiu clan. Another Chiu clan's elder said angrily. Not only did she bring him back to the Chiu clan, but she even placed him in her own residence. This is ridiculous. Another Chiu clan's elder said in a deep voice. We have to hand him over to appease the Dongfang clan. Another Chiu clan's elder looked at Duanling Tian and said in a deep voice, otherwise our Chiu clan will become enemies with the Dongfang clan. At that time, the Feng clan will be able to destroy our Chiu clan and the Dongfang clan one by one and remove both of our clans from Clarity City. Don't you think you're being too naive? Even if we hand him over, the Dongfang clan's anger might not be extinguished because of this. After all, this big sister of our Chiu clan gave the Dongfang clan a very resounding slap. The Dongfang clan won't let this matter rest. Some of the elders from the Chiu clan looked at Chiu Muqing angrily. It was obvious that they were blaming her. They were blaming Chiu Muqing for offending the Dongfang clan. Then we'll hand both of them over. One of the Chiu clan's elders said. When the Chiu clan's elder who had sent a message to Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, arrived, an uproar broke out. The Chiu clan's elders who had remained silent earlier began to cause a commotion. All of them blamed Chiu Muqing as though she had committed a heinous crime. Bring both of them to the main hall and apologize to the clan leader of the Dongfang clan. We have to give the Dongfang clan an explanation. At the same time, Chiu Gangyi ordered the elders from the Chiu clan to bring Duanling Tian and Chiu Muqing to the Chiu clan's main hall to apologize to the clan leader of Dongfang clan. Ah! At this moment, a loud laugh suddenly rang out and spread out. The laughter easily drowned out the voices of the Chiu clan's elders. A few of the Chiu clan's elders who were about to invite Duanling Tian and Chiu Muqing to the main hall stopped in their tracks when they heard Chiu Gangyi's words. For a moment, everyone's attention was on the person who had laughed loudly. The person who had laughed was none other than Duanling Tian, who was standing next to Chiu Muqing. What are you laughing at? Chiu Gangyi asked coldly. His expression darkened when he saw Duanling Tian bursting out in laughter. His voice faintly drowned out Duanling Tian's unbridled laughter. Even Chiu Muqing looked at Duanling Tian in confusion. She could not understand why Duanling Tian was laughing at this moment. Although she had obtained the promise from her father, the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Enping, that the Chiu clan would do its best to protect Duanling Tian, however, based on the current situation, it was completely different from what she had expected. Chiu Gangyi and the Chiu clan's elders seemed to want to send Duanling Tian away to appease the Eastern Fang clan. Moreover, some of the Chiu clan's elders even wanted to send her away. Naturally, she knew it was impossible for her to be sent away. Not only could the Chiu clan not afford to lose face, but even her father would not allow anyone in the Chiu clan to send her away. At this moment, she was more worried about Duanling Tian's safety. Just when she was worried about Duanling Tian's safety, she saw Duanling Tian suddenly burst out laughing. His laughter was unbridled as though he was not afraid of anything. Chiu Muqing was puzzled. She did not know why Duanling Tian could still laugh at such a time. Moreover, he laughed so brazenly. What are you laughing at? Duanling Tian stopped laughing when he heard Chiu Gangyi's words. He looked at Chiu Gangyi and the Chiu clan's elders behind Chiu Gangyi and said, I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at you men for putting the responsibility of protecting the Chiu family on a woman. In my eyes, men like you who rely on women to such an extent are just a bunch of trash. A bunch of trash. Duanling Tian did not hold back when he spoke. He called Chiu Gangyi and the Chiu clan's elders trash. Trash? Trash? Even a person made of clay would not be easily swayed, let alone Chiu Gangyi and the Chiu clan's elders. When they heard Duanling Tian's humiliating words, they could not help but be stunned for a moment. They looked at each other and wondered if they had heard wrongly. However, they soon realized from each other's angry eyes that they had not misheard. They did not mishear. Duanling Tian was indeed insulting them. Chiu Gangyi and the Chiu clan's elders glared at Duanling Tian coldly. You're seeking death, brat. Who do you think you are? How dare you humiliate us by calling us trash? I think you're tired of living. At this moment, Chiu Gangyi was not the only one who was glaring at Duanling Tian. Even the Chiu clan's elders were glaring at Duanling Tian fiercely. It was as though they were ready to attack Duanling Tian at any time to vent their anger. Swoosh. At this moment, Duan Tian felt a gust of wind blowing past his eyes. It was Chiu Muqing. She had appeared in front of him and shielded him behind her after she heard Duan Tian's words. Duan Tian's heart was filled with warmth when he saw this. However, when Duan Tian looked at Chiu Muqing's back and saw Chiu Gangyi and the others, a hint of disdain could be seen in his eyes. What's wrong? Are you angry because you're embarrassed? Duan Tian was not afraid when he saw Chiu Gangyi and the others glaring at him. Instead he sneered and said, "Or, do you think I'm wrong?" Although Chiu Gangyi and the others were furious when they heard Duan Tian's words, they could not refute him. Even if they did not want to admit it, they could not deny it. Duan Tian was telling the truth. "I'm sure all of you can't wait to hand me and Sister Chiu over to the Dongfang clan?" Duan Tian suddenly changed the topic and said bluntly, "If that's the case, Sister Chiu and I will cooperate with all of you." Duan? Upon hearing Duan Tian's words, Chiu Muqing immediately turned around. She wanted to stop Duan Tian. However, as soon as she spoke, she was interrupted by Duan Tian's overbearing voice. "Sister Chiu, let's follow them to the Chiu clan's main hall to meet the people from the Dongfang clan. Who knows, maybe the people from the Dongfang clan will be merciful and let us live when we arrive at the Chiu clan's main hall." In the end, a hint of mischief could be heard in Duan Tian's tone. Naturally, Chiu Gangyi and the others did not notice this. Chapter 2074. Let all of you live? Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, and the elders from Chiu clan were stunned when they heard Duan Tian's words. They felt the purple-clad young man was too naive. Chiu Muqing was fine. Although Chiu Muqing had offended the Eastern Fang clan, she was the eldest sister of Chiu clan. Moreover, she had the protection of the clan leader of Chiu clan. Even if they wanted to hand her over to the Eastern Fang clan, it was impossible. However, who was this purple-clad young man? Perhaps Chiu Muqing would do her best to protect him. However, it was already good enough that Chiu Muqing was able to protect herself. How could she protect this purple-clad young man? Naive. What a joke. He humiliated the Eastern Fang clan's second young master, Dongfang Zhu, in front of so many people, and he still wants to show mercy to the Eastern Fang clan? Is there something wrong with his head? If he likes to dream, then let him dream on his own. That's right. Moreover, he's willing to meet the Eastern Fang clan in our Chiu clan's main hall anyway. Since he likes to talk, let him do as he pleases. The elders from Chiu clan discussed among themselves. Based on their words, they felt Duan Tian was dreaming. However, since Duan Tian was willing to meet the Eastern Fang clan in the Chiu clan's main hall, they did not say anything. No matter what, Duan Tian was not a member of Chiu clan. Although they were elders from Chiu clan, they had no right to criticize Duan Tian. As long as Duan Tian did not drag the Chiu clan down, they could not be bothered with Duan Tian. Since you're so straightforward, then come with us, Chiu Gangyi said as he looked at Duan Tian mockingly. After he finished speaking, he glared at Duan Tian like a tiger eyeing its prey. It was as if as long as Duan Tian refused, he would capture Duan Tian and bring Duan Tian away. The other elders of the Chiu family also looked at Duan Tian. They were thinking the same thing as Chiu Gangyi. As long as the Duan Tian was willing to go to the main hall of the Chiu family to meet the people of the Eastern Fang family, and as long as the Chiu family and the Duan Tian were not related, they would not be implicated by the Duan Tian. And if Duan Tian was unwilling to go, the Dongfang family would definitely think that the Chiu family was protecting Duan Tian. In that case, the conflict between the Chiu clan and the Dongfang clan would definitely deepen. That was not in their interest, nor was it what they wanted to see. What? Are you worried that I'm just saying that? Duan Tian asked nonchalantly when he heard Chiu Gangyi's words and saw Chiu Gangyi glaring at him like a tiger looking at its prey. I hope you're not just saying that. Otherwise, I'll bring you there even if I have to. Chiu Gangyi sneered. You think you can do that? Duan Tian laughed when he heard Chiu Gangyi's words. Under Chiu Gangyi's furious gaze, he looked at Chiu Muqing and said, Sister Chiu, I don't know the way. Please bring me to the main hall of the Chiu clan. Duan Tian's tone changed when he spoke to Chiu Muqing. His tone was gentle and friendly. But, Chiu Muqing hesitated when she heard Duan Tian's words. Initially, she thought her father could rely on the Chiu clan to protect Duan Tian. However, it seemed like Chiu Gangyi and the elders from the Chiu clan wanted to send Duan Tian away. It was as though they were afraid Duan Tian would be implicated. Although Chiu Gangyi did not have all the elders in the Chiu clan, they still made up 50% of the elders in the Chiu clan. With so many elders and Qiu Gangyi, the second master of the Qiu clan, refusing to protect Duan Lingtian. Even her father, the clan leader of the Qiu clan, could not represent the Qiu clan to protect Duan Lingtian. Don't worry. Duan Lingtian smiled when he saw Qiu Muqing's hesitation. His voice was calm, but it was filled with confidence. Qiu Muqing was affected by his confidence as well. Don't tell me you have a way to prevent the Dongfang clan from doing anything to you? Qiu Muqing could not help but ask Duan Lingtian through voice transmission. This was because until now she was still in the dark about Duan Lingtian's origin. When she heard the confidence in Duan Lingtian's voice, she immediately thought of Duan Lingtian's background. At the very least he was not afraid of the Dongfang clan, one of the 3 most powerful clans in Clarity City. You'll find out when the time comes. Duan Lingtian replied to Qiu Muqing through voice transmission. His tone was still confident, but he kept her guessing. Qiu Muqing was even more certain that Duan Lingtian's background was not simple. At the very least he was strong enough to counterattack the Dongfang clan. Qiu Muqing was relieved when she heard this. She took the lead to leave her independent residence and brought Duan Lingtian to the Qiu clan's main hall. At this moment she was extremely curious about Duan Lingtian's background. However, she did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so confident. Duan Lingtian's confidence did not come from his background. Instead it came from his strength. As a third-rate force the Dongfang clan might be quite strong. However, in Duan Lingtian's eyes they were nothing. Let's go. When Qiu Gangyi saw Duan Lingtian leaving with Qiu Muqing to the Qiu clan's main hall, he called out to the Qiu clan's elders and brought them along. Humph. Big sister is too willful this time. If it's possible, I really hope the clan will hand her over to the Dongfang clan. That's right. It's fine if she messes around in the past, but she's really too willful this time. How can she be so intimate with a man in front of so many people in Clarity City? Everyone in Clarity City knows she's going to marry the second young master of the Dongfang clan. She's going to enter the Dongfang clan soon. Her actions are no different from giving the Dongfang clan a slap in the face. Now, I only hope that our Qiu clan will hand over the purple-clothed young man to a certain extent to extinguish the anger of the Dongfang clan. As for eldest sister's mistake, our Qiu clan will compensate in other ways. No matter what, we can't let the Dongfang clan fall out with the Qiu clan. I think the Dongfang clan won't fall out with the Qiu clan as long as we're willing to compensate them. After all, the members of the Dongfang clan are clearly aware that they can't go against the Feng clan without our Qiu clan. On the way to the Qiu clan's main hall, the Qiu clan's elders whispered among themselves. Duan Lingtian naturally heard the whispers. He shook his head inwardly. At the same time, Duan Lingtian looked at Qiu Muqing, the eldest daughter of the Qiu clan, with a pitiful expression on his face. He only felt that she was a little pitiful. She was actually used by her family as a tool to maintain the relationship with the Dongfang family. The Qiu clan's main hall is right in front of us. Are you really confident? If you're not, you can leave now. I'll stop them. Qiu Muqing suddenly slowed down and sent a voice transmission to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, Duan Lingtian also saw the main hall that stood not far away from him. The main hall looked majestic from afar. It was as though a gigantic beast was crouching there. The door was wide open like the mouth of a gigantic beast. You? Stop them? Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Qiu Muqing's voice transmission. Although he had asked Huolao to investigate earlier, he found out the group of people led by Qiu Gangyi, the second master of Qiu clan, were not at the Saint Celestial stage or above. Qiu Gangyi, the strongest among them, was only at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. However, with Qiu Muqing's cultivation base at the exemplary saint stage, it was impossible for her to stop Qiu Gangyi and the others. If I threaten to kill myself, I'll kill myself on the spot if anyone dares to chase after you. I'm sure even Qiu Gangyi won't dare to chase after you. He's worried my father won't let him go after I kill myself. Qiu Gangyi said to Duan Lingtian through voice transmission again when he saw the doubt in Duan Lingtian's eyes. Based on his words, it seemed as though he was not afraid of death at all. Although Duan Lingtian knew Qiu Muqing was certain Qiu Gangyi and the others would not dare to chase after him due to her threats, he still felt touched. Warmth rose in Duan Lingtian's heart when he heard Qiu Muqing's words. After all, he had only met Qiu Muqing today. Qiu Muqing only dared to threaten Qiu Gangyi and the others because she was certain Qiu Gangyi and the others would not dare to do anything to her. However, since she was willing to do this for him, it was clear she was a kind girl. She did not want him to be hurt because of her. What? Don't you trust me, Sister Qiu? Duan Lingtian replied to Chiu Mu Qing after taking a deep breath. His voice was laced with a hint of mockery. No, I'm not. I'm just a little worried. Since you're so confident, let's go in. I want to see how the Eastern Fang family will react when they realize they don't dare to touch you. Chiu Mu Qing said to Duan Lingtian through voice transmission again. In the end, there was a hint of playfulness in her tone. However, based on her tone, it seemed like she was certain Duan Lingtian was not a simple person. At the very least, the Eastern Fang family would not dare to touch him. When they arrived outside the Chiu clan's main hall, Duan Lingtian saw 3 people walking over from another direction. They were a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious clothes and 2 white-haired old men. Father. At the same time, Chiu Mu Qing's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. Chiu Mu Qing took a few steps forward to greet the middle-aged man. He's the clan leader of Chiu clan? Duan Lingtian immediately realized the middle-aged man was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man dressed in luxurious clothes was none other than the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Ping. Chiu Ping was a tall and well-built middle-aged man. His face was chiseled and he had a handsome appearance. One could tell he was a handsome man when he was young. Chapter 2075. Mu Qing. The clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Ping, smiled when he saw Chiu Mu Qing walking up to him. A doting expression could be seen in his eyes. However, he could not help but sigh inwardly. When he thought of the promise he had made to his daughter earlier, and the fact that he would most likely have to go back on his words, he felt a wave of sadness in his heart. One had to know that he had never disappointed his daughter in her entire life. However, this time he was going to disappoint his daughter. Grand Elder, Second Elder. When Chiu Mu Qing arrived next to Chiu Ping, she greeted the 2 old men with a smile on her face. The 2 old men were none other than the Grand Elder and Second Elder of Chiu clan. The Grand Elder of Chiu clan was an old man with a medium build. He had an ordinary appearance. When he heard Chiu Mu Qing's greeting, he smiled and nodded. Qing, The Second Elder of Chiu clan was slightly taller than the Grand Elder of Chiu clan. He was about the same height as the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Ping. He only glanced at Chiu Mu Qing indifferently when she greeted him. Then he said in a slightly displeased tone, Mu Qing, you didn't think twice about what you did today. Chiu Mu Qing fell silent when she heard this. Today she had held Duan Lingtian's hand in the restaurant and left while holding Duan Lingtian's hand. She had only done so out of desperation. When she thought about it, she was stunned. She felt she had been too bold. After all, although she had a good impression of Duan Lingtian, they had only met for the first time. However, what happened was what happened. To a certain extent, her actions had indeed given the Dongfang clan a resounding slap in the face. For this reason, she did not dare to refute the Second Elder of Chiu clan. Clan leader, Grand Elder, Second Elder. At the same time, Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, walked past Duan Lingtian and arrived in front of Chiu Ping and the others. He took the initiative to greet them. Seeing Chiu Gangyi, Chiu Ping frowned imperceptibly and then nodded. In the next moment after Chiu Gangyi, a group of Chiu family's elders followed and took the initiative to greet Chiu Ping and the other 2. Chiu Gangyi, stay. Everyone else leave. Seeing so many Chiu family elders gathered together, the Chiu family great elder frowned and said indifferently. Although the Chiu clan's first elder spoke calmly, there was no room for doubt in his tone. It was extremely authoritative. There were 3 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses in the Chiu clan. Among them, the great elder of the Chiu family was the strongest. Therefore, the Chiu clan's elders did not dare to disobey the Chiu clan's first elder. When the Chiu clan's great elder finished speaking, the group of Chiu clan's elders glanced at Chiu Gangyi and dispersed. Although they all wanted to enter the main hall to join in the fun, they knew that since the Grand Elder had spoken, it was impossible for them to enter the main hall even if they wanted to. However, although they did not have the chance to enter the main hall, they had someone to convey their wishes to the Chiu clan's first elder. Chiu Gangyi, the second master of the Chiu clan, was the representative of all of them. Chiu Gangyi was the only one left among the group of people who had gathered together. After a while, Duan Lingtian finally arrived near the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Ping, the Grand Elder, and the Second Elder of Chiu clan. Father, this is the friend I mentioned to you before. Chiu Mu Qing introduced Duan Lingtian to Chiu Ping when she saw him approaching. Due to the confidence Duan Lingtian had shown earlier, she did not feel too pressured at all. Although she knew her father might not be able to protect Duan Lingtian on behalf of the Chiu clan, she still felt pressured. Clan leader Chiu. Before Chiu Ping could speak, Duan Lingtian took the initiative to greet him with a smile. Hello. Naturally, Chiu and Ping smiled in response to Duan Lingtian's polite greeting. Then he asked, how should I address you? Li Feng. Duan Lingtian replied with a smile. Initially, Chiu Muqing was taken aback by Duan Lingtian's response. Since Chiu Muqing knew Duan Lingtian's real name, she was slightly taken aback when she heard Duan Lingtian's name. However, when she thought about it again, she recalled Duan Lingtian seemed to have something he could not tell her and had asked her not to reveal his name. So it's Brother Li Feng. Chiu and Ping nodded before he asked, Brother Li Feng, are you from Clarity City? No. Duan Lingtian shook his head. May I know where Brother Li Feng is from? Chiu and Ping asked again. A hint of anticipation could be seen in his eyes when he asked this question. This was because he knew that he would not be able to protect this purple-clad young man in front of him today. For this reason, he hoped that the other party had an extraordinary background. In that case, the Dongfang clan would not dare to make a move on him so easily. If that was the case, his daughter would not be disappointed that he could not protect Duan Lingtian. Clan leader Chiu, I'm a sectless cultivator. The world is my home. Duan Lingtian replied immediately when he heard Chiu and Ping's question. He did not reveal his origin. Sectless cultivator? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, and the second elder of Chiu clan had a hint of disdain in their eyes. On the other hand, the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu and Ping, and the grand elder of Chiu clan had a grave expression on their faces. Chiu and Ping in particular, had a hint of disappointment in his eyes. As for the eldest daughter of Chiu clan, Chiu Muqing, she was stunned for a moment before she felt relieved. She knew Duan Lingtian was only hiding his origin for the time being. He would only reveal his origin when he was in front of the Eastern Fang clan, so the Eastern Fang clan would not dare to act recklessly. If that was not the case, he would not have been so confident earlier. Senior brother Li Feng, these are the grand elder and second elder of Chiu clan. Chiu and Ping said. He broke the silence and introduced the grand elder and second elder of Chiu clan to Duan Lingtian. Greetings, seniors. Duan Lingtian immediately greeted the two old men in a refined and courteous manner. The grand elder of Chiu clan nodded slightly in response to Duan Lingtian. As for the second elder of Chiu clan, he only glanced at Duan Lingtian casually from the beginning until the end. He pretended not to hear Duan Lingtian's greeting. It seemed like he had no intention of responding to Duan Lingtian at all. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, remained calm. He had seen a lot of people who looked down on others ever since he came from the mortal continent. Therefore he had become indifferent to them. Clan leader, grand elder, second elder. It's time for us to enter. If we keep the clan leader and the two elders of the Eastern Fang clan waiting for too long, it'll seem like the Chiu clan isn't treating our guests well. Chiu Gangyi's voice suddenly entered Duan Lingtian's ears. It sounded like he was reminding Chiu and Ping and the other two old men, but there was a hint of schadenfreude in his voice as well. Naturally, the schadenfreude was directed at Duan Lingtian. With Chiu Gangyi's reminder, the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu and Ping, the grand elder, and the second elder of Chiu clan took the lead and made their way to the Chiu clan's main hall. Duan Lingtian and Chiu Muqing walked side by side as they followed the three old men. As for Chiu Gangyi, he walked at the back of the group as though he was afraid Duan Lingtian would run away at a critical moment. When they entered the Chiu clan's main hall, Duan Lingtian saw everything in the Chiu clan's main hall. The Chiu clan's main hall was extremely spacious. Although the decorations were simple, they did not lose their grandeur. Father, it's him. It's him. Duan Lingtian was still observing the Chiu clan's main hall when an exasperated voice rang in his ears. The voice sounded familiar as though he had heard it somewhere before. Duan Lingtian's attention was instantly attracted by the owner of the voice. With just a glance, he saw Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, whom he had taught a lesson in the restaurant in Clarity City. At this moment, Dongfang Zhu was standing next to a middle-aged man. He was pointing at the middle-aged man as he spoke in an exasperated manner. Based on how Dongfang Zhu addressed the middle-aged man, it was obvious who the middle-aged man was. The middle-aged man was none other than the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan, Dongfang Gan. When Dongfang Gan heard Dongfang Zhu's words, he turned to look at Duan Lingtian coldly. For a moment, Duan Lingtian felt as though he was being stared at by a venomous snake. However, Duan Lingtian merely glanced at Dongfang Gan indifferently before he shifted his attention to the two old men standing next to Dongfang Gan. These two old men were standing next to Dongfang Gan. It was obvious they had a high status in the Eastern Fang clan. Could they be the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan? Earlier, when he was still in Chiu Muqing's independent mansion, he had heard an elder from the Chiu clan say, "The Eastern Fang clan's people are from the Eastern Fang clan." Apart from the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan and his son, there were also the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan. In the entire Eastern Fang clan, only these two old men were qualified to stand next to the clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan. Apart from Dongfang, these two old men were the other two Saint Celestial stage powerhouses in the Eastern Fang clan. Similar to the Chiu clan, the Eastern Fang clan had three Saint Celestial stage powerhouses each. They were the clan leader, the Grand Elder, and the Second Elder. As for the two old men standing behind Dongfang and the others, Duan Tian merely glanced at them indifferently and did not pay them any attention. It could be seen that their positions in the Dongfang family were ordinary. They should be ordinary elders. Clan leader of the Eastern Fang clan. At the same time, the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu and Ping, and the Grand Elder and Second Elder of Chiu clan walked side by side toward Dongfang and the others. The Grand Elder and Second Elder of Chiu clan who were standing next to him also greeted the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan. Slut. When Dongfang Zhu saw Duan Tian and Chiu Muqing standing next to each other, he was so angry that his eyes turned red. He cursed inwardly. Chapter 2076. Clan Leader Chiu, you have a good daughter. Dongfang, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang family, mocked Chiu and Ping when he saw the clan leader of Chiu clan greeting him warmly. He was not polite at all. He had brought his men here to denounce Chiu and Ping. Naturally, it was impossible for him to be polite to Chiu and Ping. If he were to be polite at this moment, it would be equivalent to giving away the initiative. It would be difficult for him to obtain more benefits. As the clan leader of the Eastern Fang family, Dongfang knew this very well. Humph? The Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang family snorted coldly when they were greeted by the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Chiu clan. They did not even bother to look at the two of them. It was as though the two of them owed them money. The expressions of the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang family darkened when they saw this. However, although their expressions were ugly, it was not good for them to flare up. After all, in their opinion, the Eastern Fang family was in the right and the Chiu clan was in the wrong. Clan leader of the Eastern Fang family, what do you mean by that? The smile on Chiu and Ping's face disappeared when he heard Dongfang's words. As the clan leader of the Chiu clan, he could be polite to Dongfang for the sake of the Chiu clan. However, Dongfang was now his daughter, and his daughter was more important to him as a father than his own life. For this reason he could not accept anyone else talking about his daughter. He could do anything but not his daughter. Because of this, Chiu Anping's tone was completely gloomy when he spoke again. At the same time, it caused the atmosphere in the hall to be filled with a strong smell of gunpowder. A conflict could break out at any moment. What do I mean? Dongfang sneered when he saw Chiu and Ping's expression had darkened. Chiu and Ping, don't you know what I mean? Don't tell me that you have no idea what your precious daughter has done today. In the end, Dongfang shifted his gaze to Chiu Muqing who was standing next to Duan Tian. His eyes gleamed coldly as though he was about to devour someone. Patriarch. At this moment, Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, said to Chiu and Ping, "Indeed, the Chiu clan is in the wrong. I know you feel sorry for eldest sister, but eldest sister has gone too far this time." Chiu Anping didn't expect that Chiu Gangyi would step in at this time. For a moment, his face became increasingly gloomy. Even the great elder of the Chiu clan was frowning. He felt that Chiu Gangyi had gone too far. Only the second elder of the Chiu family didn't react. It was as if Chiu Gangyi's words were not inappropriate. Is Chiu Gangyi really from the Chiu clan? Duan Tian narrowed his eyes when he looked at Chiu Gangyi again. He felt Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, did not look like a member of the Chiu clan. Instead, he looked more like a member of the Dongfang clan. At this time, it was fine if the people from the Eastern Fang family were gossiping. After all, they were on different sides. However, as a member of the Chiu clan, not only did Chiu Gangyi not help the Chiu clan, but he even helped the Dongfang family. Although Duan Tian was an outsider to the Chiu clan, he felt Chiu Gangyi's words were ill-considered. What a lousy teammate. You're right, second master of Chiu clan. When Dongfang heard Chiu Gangyi's words, he took advantage of the situation. He looked at Chiu and Ping and sneered, "It's only because the second master of Chiu clan is less talented than you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be the one sitting in the clan leader's seat today." Dong Fanggan's words raised Qiu Gangyi's status and belittled Qiu Enping's status. Qiu Enping's expression darkened when he heard this. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally burst out laughing. It was as though he had heard the funniest joke in the world. What are you laughing at? Dong Fanggan asked coldly as he looked at Duan Lingtian with killing intent in his eyes. His voice was not loud, but it was filled with saint origin. It drowned out Duan Lingtian's laughter and clearly entered everyone's ears. If they were not in the Qiu clan's main hall, he would have killed this person who humiliated his son. I'm laughing at your whimsical imagination. Duan Lingtian stopped laughing. Facing Dong Fanggan's snake-like gaze, he was not afraid at all. He said sarcastically, Qiu Gangyi is nothing but an ungrateful wretch. No matter how talented a person like him is, once he becomes the clan leader of Qiu clan, he's destined to lead the Qiu clan into decline. Fortunately, he didn't become the clan leader of Qiu clan. Otherwise, the Qiu clan would be under the Feng clan by now. As for your Eastern Feng clan, you'd better not be annihilated by the Qiu clan and the Feng clan. In the end, Duan Lingtian became more and more unscrupulous. He said Qiu Gangyi was an ungrateful wretch. If Qiu Gangyi became the clan leader of Qiu clan, he would have surrendered to the Feng clan and led the Qiu clan to become the Feng clan's pawn. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, everyone was stunned. Whether it was the clan leader of Qiu clan, Qiu Enping, or the grand elder and second elder of Qiu clan, all of them looked at Duan Lingtian in shock. It was as though Duan Lingtian's words had touched a chord in their hearts. In the past, Qiu Gangyi had indeed suggested that the Qiu clan surrender to the Feng clan and join forces with the Feng clan to annihilate the Eastern Feng clan. He also thought that even if the Feng clan became the dominant clan, the Qiu clan would still be able to get a share of the pie. However, they rejected his suggestion in the end. Li Feng, you're seeking death. Qiu Gangyi could not suppress his anger when he heard Duan Lingtian's mocking words. As he roared furiously, the saint energy in his body stirred and was about to burst out. What's wrong? Are you angry because I've guessed what you're thinking? Duan Lingtian shifted his gaze from Dong Fanggan to Qiu Gangyi. He could not help but mock Qiu Gangyi. Qiu Gangyi grew even angrier. It seemed like he was on the verge of breaking down. It was not hard to imagine. If Qiu Gangyi's emotions were to crumble, he would not hesitate to attack Duan Lingtian as soon as he could. How dare you? At this moment, a loud roar resounded, echoing continuously in the Qiu family's main hall, lingering in the air. The person who shouted was none other than the second elder of the Qiu clan. The second elder of the Qiu clan looked at Duan Lingtian and said coldly, Li Feng, you're just a sexless cultivator. What right do you have to shout and humiliate the Qiu clan's main hall? A sexless cultivator. The clan leader of the Eastern Feng clan, Dong Fanggan, brightened when he heard the second elder of the Qiu clan's words. When they were on their way to the Qiu clan, they had been worried that the purple-clad young man who had humiliated Dong Fangzhu had an extraordinary background. If the purple-clad young man had a force that the Eastern Feng clan could not afford to offend, they would not be able to do anything to him no matter how angry they were. Unless they did not care about the safety of the Eastern Feng clan. However, when they heard the second elder of the Qiu clan said the purple-clad young man was just a sexless cultivator, they were relieved. In their opinion, they did not need to worry about a sexless cultivator. Humiliate the Qiu clan? Duan Lingtian looked at the second elder of Qiu clan and said coldly, Senior, as the second elder of Qiu clan, do you think Qiu Gangyi did the right thing by undermining the Qiu clan's prestige and boosting the Dongfang clan's morale? Moreover, the clan leader and the grand elder of the Qiu clan did not say anything. Don't you think it's inappropriate for a mere second elder to say something? Duan Lingtian questioned the second elder of the Qiu clan after he finished speaking. You. The second elder of the Qiu clan was livid when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. However, he did not know how to refute Duan Lingtian's words. How could he refute Duan Lingtian's words? Should he admit that Qiu Gangyi did the right thing? Should he say that he did not overstep his authority? The second elder of the Qiu clan was one of the 3 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses in the Qiu clan. He was the only one among the 3 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses in the Qiu clan who agreed to force the eldest daughter of the Qiu clan, Qiu Muqin, to marry into the Eastern Feng clan. Duan Lingtian had learned about this from Qiu Muqin before he entered the Qiu clan's main hall. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not have a good impression of the second elder of the Qiu clan. It would have been fine if the second elder of the Qiu clan did not speak up. However, now that the second elder of the Qiu clan had spoken up and targeted him, there was no reason for Duan Lingtian to hold back. Clan leader, Grand Elder. I'm just stating the facts. I have no intention of diminishing the prestige of the Chiu clan to boost the morale of the Chiu clan. Chiu Gangyi's expression changed drastically when he was accused by Duan Lingtian. He hastily looked at the clan leader and Grand Elder of the Chiu clan as he tried to defend himself. It was as though he was afraid he would infuriate the clan leader and Grand Elder if he was too slow. At this moment, Dong Fanggan, who had remained silent for a long time, suddenly chuckled. He had a mocking expression on his face as he said, "It seems like the Chiu clan has really declined. I can't believe a sectless cultivator dares to cause a ruckus in the Chiu clan's main hall. If this was the Eastern Fang clan, a sectless cultivator like this would have died a few hundred times already." Dong Fanggan's eyes were filled with killing intent and disdain when he looked at Duan Lingtian. "Is that so?" Duan Lingtian met his gaze without the slightest bit of fear as he sneered and replied with a question. "Clan leader of Chiu clan." Duan Lingtian's fearless gaze further infuriated Dong Fanggan. Dong Fanggan's expression darkened as he looked at Chiu and Ping, the clan leader of Chiu clan. "As long as you hand this sectless cultivator over to me and let me take him away from the Chiu clan, the Eastern Fang clan will let bygones be bygones." Chapter 2077. The meaning behind Dong Fanggan's words was very simple. As long as the Chiu clan handed Duan Lingtian over to the Dong Fang clan, the Dong Fang clan would not pursue the matter. In fact, they would even join forces with the Chiu clan to fight against the strongest clan in Clarity City, the Feng clan. To the majority of the Chiu family members, this was definitely a profitable deal. After all, the purple-clad young man who called himself Li Feng was only a sectless cultivator. He was not a member of the Chiu clan. As long as the Chiu clan handed Li Feng over to the Dong Fang clan, the Dong Fang clan would not pursue the matter any further. Clan leader. As soon as Dong Fanggan finished speaking, Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan, looked at the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu and Ping, with an eager expression on his face as he said, "Li Feng is not a member of the Chiu clan. There's no need to drag the Chiu clan down for an outsider like him. As long as we hand Li Feng over, not only will our eldest sister not have to marry into the Dong Fang clan, but the Dong Fang clan will not pursue the matter any further. To the Chiu clan, to big sister, and even to you, the clan leader, this is a business that will only benefit us." Chiu Gangyi's voice was filled with excitement. At this moment he wished he was the clan leader of Chiu clan so he could agree to Dong Fanggan's condition. In his opinion, this condition was too tempting. Not only would it resolve the matter today, but it would also resolve the conflict between the Chiu clan and the Dong Fang clan. This was a win-win situation for the Chiu clan. At the same time, Chiu and Ping could not help but frown. Even if he did not want to admit it, he had to admit Dong Fanggan had made a concession when he proposed this condition. It was very tempting to him. If he cooperated, just like Chiu Gangyi said, it would be a win-win situation. However, when Chiu and Ping thought about how Li Feng was his daughter's friend, he could not help but feel conflicted. He looked at Chiu Mu-ching with a complicated expression on his face. "Father." Chiu Mu-ching, naturally, knew what her father was thinking when she saw him looking at her. Without any hesitation, she immediately stated, "Although my actions today are somewhat abrupt, that is only relative to big brother Li Feng. As for the Dong Fang clan, I don't think my actions have anything to do with the Dong Fang clan. From the beginning until the end, I've never agreed to the engagement with Dong Fangzhu. In other words, what does my actions have to do with the Dong Fang clan? Dong Fang clan has no right to threaten the Chiu clan. Chiu and Ping clan's clan leader, Chiu and Ping's clan, no matter what she did. Chiu and Ping clans Chiu and Ping Chiu and Fang Chiu clan, Chiu Mu-ching." At this moment, Dong Fangzhu, the second young master of Dong Fang clan, could not help but growl. "Currently, everyone in Clarity City knows that your Chiu clan and my Dong Fang clan are going to unite by marriage. Moreover, you and I are the representatives of both parties. In the eyes of the people in Clarity City, it's only a matter of time before you marry into the Dong Fang clan. For this reason, your actions today have made the Dong Fang clan the laughingstock of Clarity City. How dare you say your actions have nothing to do with the Dong Fang clan?" In the end, Dong Fangzhu became somewhat hysterical. He was practically roaring at the top of his voice. Who else can you blame? If it wasn't for the Dong Fang clan's wishful thinking and spreading the news, the people in Clarity City wouldn't have misunderstood us. Chiu Mu-ching said calmly. Wishful thinking? Chiu Mu-ching's words were like a thorn in Dong Fangzhu's heart, causing his face to turn pale. Now that he thought about it, Chiu Mu-ching was indeed his wishful thinking. Wishful thinking? When Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of Dongfang clan, heard Qiu Muqing's words, his expression darkened immediately. He looked at the second elder of Qiu clan and said in a deep voice, "Elder Qiu Ji, if I'm not mistaken, you personally agreed to the marriage between our Dongfang clan and your Qiu clan, right? It seems like your words don't count in the Qiu clan even though you're the second elder of the Qiu clan. If that's the case, then why did you agree to the marriage between our two families?" Dongfang Qian's voice turned colder as he spoke. At the same time he told everyone one thing. The marriage between the Qiu clan and the Dongfang clan was arranged by Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan. Qiu Muqing looked at Qiu Ji in disbelief when she heard Dongfang Qian's words. She said agitatedly, Second elder. What right do you have to decide my marriage?" All this while, Qiu Muqing had thought Qiu Gangyi, the second master of Qiu clan, had led a group of elders to pressure her father into marrying Dongfang Zhu so the Qiu clan and the Dongfang clan could form a marriage alliance. From the beginning until the end, even though the people in Clarity City had spread the news of the marriage alliance between the Qiu clan and the Dongfang clan, she had thought the Dongfang clan was the only one who spread the news. She did not expect Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan, would agree to the marriage alliance on behalf of the Qiu clan. As for her, she had been kept in the dark until just a moment ago. Father. Qiu Muqing looked at her father, Qiu Enping, the clan leader of Qiu clan, as though she had just recalled something. When she looked at Qiu Enping, a hint of uneasiness could be seen in the depths of her eyes. She could only hope her father did not know about this. Otherwise, she felt there was no one she could trust in this world. Qiu Ji. Qiu Muqing sighed in relief when she saw Qiu Enping's expression had changed drastically. At the very least, she was certain her father did not know about this. As the clan leader of Qiu clan, Qiu Enping was indeed unaware of this. When he heard Dongfang Qian's words, he looked at Qiu Ji angrily and roared, "What right do you have to decide my daughter's marriage? Moreover, he decided on my daughter's marriage without me, her father, knowing anything about it." Even the grand elder of Qiu clan frowned when he heard this. He had just found out about this as well. Even he could not stand the second elder of Qiu clan taking matters into his own hands. "What right do I have to decide your marriage?" Qiu Ji looked at Qiu Muqing and said indifferently, "You're a member of the Qiu clan and I'm the second elder of Qiu clan. For the sake of the family, why can't you sacrifice me for the sake of the family? As for you?" Qiu Ji looked at Qiu Enping and said indifferently, "If I had told you about this beforehand, would you have agreed to my request? Moreover, your daughter won't be at a disadvantage if she marries into the Dongfang clan. Moreover, your position as the clan leader will be even more secure. Otherwise, who knows when the Qiu clan will be destroyed by the Feng clan. At that time, you won't even be able to be the clan leader." Qiu Ji seemed to be concerned about Qiu Enping when he spoke. "Do you think I want to be the clan leader?" Qiu Enping laughed when he heard Qiu Ji's words. "In my eyes, the position of the clan leader is nothing compared to my daughter. Qiu Ji, you don't have the right to decide my daughter's marriage." Humph. Qiu Ji snorted coldly and continued, "Now, even if I want to decide on your daughter's marriage, the Dongfang family won't let her marry into our family. I really don't know how you, Qiu Enping, raised your daughter to be so fickle, shameless, and dissolute. You're seeking death." Qiu Enping was enraged when he heard Qiu Ji insulted his daughter. Saint Origin surged out of his body as he attacked Qiu Ji at lightning speed. Although he and Qiu Ji were both powerhouses at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, there was a huge difference in their strength. Bang! After the span of a breath, a loud noise rang in the air as Qiu Enping was sent flying by Qiu Ji's punch. Barf! Barf! When Qiu Enping was sent flying by Qiu Ji's punch, he threw up a mouthful of blood before he crashed heavily on the ground. Father! At this moment, Qiu Muqing finally regained her senses. She cried out worriedly before she flew to Qiu Enping's side and helped him up. At the same time, a hint of hatred could be seen in Qiu Muqing's eyes when she looked at Qiu Ji. Qiu Ji. Duan Ling Tian's expression darkened. Just as he was about to make a move, a furious voice rang in the air. It slowed down the Sun Saint energy in Duan Ling Tian's body. The voice belonged to the Grand Elder of Qiu clan. He was looking at Qiu Ji coldly. Grand Elder. Qiu Ji's expression changed when he saw the Grand Elder of Qiu clan looking at him. Although he was much stronger than Qiu Enping, the clan leader of Qiu clan, he was still inferior to the Grand Elder of Qiu clan. Although both of them were powerhouses at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, Duan Ling Tian was stronger than Qiu Enping and the Grand Elder of Qiu clan. Duan Ling Tian's strength was above average among powerhouses at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage. Grand Elder, from the beginning until the end, I, Qiuji, have done everything for the sake of the clan. If you think I'm in the wrong, you can kill me. Qiuji suddenly said to the Grand Elder of Qiu clan with a solemn expression on his face. His retreat in order to advance, move made the Qiu clan's Grand Elder hesitate. As the Grand Elder of Qiu clan, it was only natural that he wanted the clan to prosper in the future. Thinking about it, although what Qiuji did was a little too much from the perspective of the family's interests, it was understandable. What a good excuse. Duan Ling Tian took a step forward and looked at Qiuji with a mocking smile on his face. Chapter 2078. When Duan Ling Tian saw Qiuji, the second elder of Qiu clan, injuring Qiu and Ping, the clan leader of Qiu clan, he had already planned to make a move. However, he did not make a move because the Grand Elder of Qiu clan had spoken. Now that he saw the Grand Elder of Qiu clan had no intention of making a move on Qiuji, he could not help but sneer. Sister Qiu has her own thoughts. Moreover, her father is still alive. Even if her marriage is to be decided, it's her father's business. It's not up to a shameless and disrespectful old fart like you to decide, right? Duan Ling Tian did not hold back as soon as he spoke. Not only did he scold Qiuji for being shameless and disrespectful, but he even called Qiuji an old fart. Li Feng, you're seeking death. Qiuji's expression changed when he heard Duan Ling Tian's merciless words. He glared at Duan Ling Tian angrily as he roared. The saint origin in his body began to surge and spread to the surface of his body. He was about to make a move on Duan Ling Tian. Qiuji did not expect this at all. A mere sectless cultivator dared to scold him in front of so many people. Moreover, Qiuji did not hold back at all. At this moment he was completely enraged. Li Feng, who do you think you are? How dare you be disrespectful to the second elder? Today I'll teach you a lesson and teach you how to behave. After that, I'll hand you over to the Dongfang clan's clan leader. Just as Qiuji was about to make a move, a furious and cold roar resonated in the air. It was Qiu Gangyi, the second master of Qiu clan. At the same time, it was as though he had transformed into an arrow that had left the bow as he charged toward Duan Ling Tian at lightning speed. His speed was terrifyingly fast. Saint energy at the peak of the quintessential saint stage continued to surge out of Qiu Gangyi's body. It was vast and majestic, setting off gusts of wind that swept out in all directions. Many people's robes fluttered noisily. Whoosh! In just a blink of an eye, Qiu Gangyi, who was charging toward Duan Ling Tian, arrived. Devour! As soon as Qiu Gangyi charged toward Duan Ling Tian quickly mobilized the Sun Saint energy in his body. The Sun Saint energy surged out of his body through his 99 Saint veins in just a blink of an eye and formed a faint whirlpool on his body. The vortex was turbulent, as if it could swallow everything. It was the divine ability devouring technique. After Duan Ling Tian used the devouring technique, the heaven and earth spirit qi in the main hall of the Qiu family rushed into his body at a terrifying speed and mixed with the Sun Saint force in his body. Then they fused and improved at an exaggerated speed. When Qiu Gangyi was only a few meters away from Duan Ling Tian, the Sun Saint power in Duan Ling Tian's body had reached its peak. It was comparable to the mastery quintessential saint stage's saint energy. Almost at the same time, Duan Ling Tian's gaze turned cold and filled with killing intent. Suddenly, whoosh! Duan Ling Tian did not make any move, but the sound of a sword whistling in the air rang in the air. It sounded like the sound of a ghost appearing and disappearing. In the blink of an eye, it sounded and stopped abruptly. It was as though it had never appeared. At this moment, the main hall fell silent. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Qiu Gangyi, who was only a few meters away from Duan Ling Tian, was sent flying by the momentum of his charge. When Duan Ling Tian dodged, a circular bloody wound appeared on Qiu Gangyi's neck. The bloody wound continued to expand at an extremely fast speed. Blush, blush, blush. As the sound of water splashing reverberated in the air, blood splattered out of Qiu Gangyi's neck. Then Qiu Gangyi's head was separated from his body from his neck. Blood splattered everywhere as the two halves of his body slammed into the wall of the main hall. Blood splattered everywhere as though it had opened up a bloody path. It was dazzling and eye-catching. At the same time, Qiu Gangyi's body that had been severed into two was no longer breathing. He could not be any more dead. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. The entire scene was deathly silent. In the main hall, apart from Duan Ling Tian and Qiu Gangyi who had been killed, everyone was looking at Qiu Gangyi's body that had been severed into two. In their eyes, other than fear, there was also a mixture of shock and disbelief. They did not expect this to happen even in their wildest dreams. Gasp, gasp, gasp. After a while, everyone present on the scene gasped when they regained their senses. The shock on their faces did not disappear for a long time. Even the 6 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses present on the scene were no exception. Following that, the 6 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses turned to look at Duan Lingtian one after another. At this moment, their gazes were completely different from before. He's so strong? Chiu Muqing stared at Duan Lingtian in shock and disbelief. She felt as though she was dreaming. Everything that was happening before her eyes was too surreal. From the moment she saw this purple-clad young man, she had thought he was extraordinary. She did not expect him to be so strong. He did not even make a move, but he had killed Qiu Gangyi, the second master of Qiu clan. After all, Qiu Gangyi was a powerhouse at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. Since this purple-clad young man was able to kill Qiu Gangyi, it meant he was a saint celestial stage powerhouse just like her father. No. Impossible. Impossible. Chiu Muqing felt as though she was dreaming. Dong Fangzhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang clan, was also looking at Duan Lingtian. How could he not feel like he was dreaming as well? He raised his hand and slapped himself in the face. Then he pinched his thigh. The pain on his face and leg reminded him that he was not dreaming. He wasn't dreaming. Everything that was happening before his eyes was real. This purple-clad young man who had taught him a lesson in the restaurant and caused him to hate him to the bone was indeed a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. So what if he's a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse? My father and the 2 elders of the Eastern Fang clan are also Saint Celestial stage powerhouses. Dong Fangzhu thought about his father and the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan. He felt much more confident. Thud. At the same time, under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Lingtian slowly walked toward Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan. However, with every step he took, it felt as though he was stepping on Qiu Ji's chest. Horror dawned on Qiu Ji's face. In the end, Qiu Ji was on the verge of breaking down. At this moment, apart from Qiu Ji himself, only the other 5 people who were at the Saint Celestial stage like him could sense the changes in his emotions. They were the only ones who could sense how terrifying Duan Lingtian's attack was. When Duan Lingtian was halfway to Qiu Ji finally broke down. Qiu Ji could no longer endure the torment in his heart and broke down completely. Bang. At the same time, Qiu Ji, who had completely broken down, moved and fell to his knees. A loud sound rang in the air when his knees hit the ground. Bang, 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 bang. In the next moment, a series of loud sounds rang in the air. Qiu Ji, who was kneeling on the ground, kept kowtowing to Duan Lingtian. He kowtowed again and again until his head was bleeding. However, it was as though he did not feel anything. He kept kowtowing as though he could not feel any pain or exhaustion. Many people were dumbfounded by this scene. Chiu Muqing, Dong Fangzhu, and the 2 ordinary elders of the Eastern Fang clan were dumbfounded by this scene. After all, they could not compare to the other 5 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses. Although they had seen Duan Lingtian kill Qiu Gangyi, the second master of Qiu clan, they thought he was just an ordinary Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. He did not realize that Duan Lingtian was not an ordinary Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. His strength far surpassed the 6 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses present on the scene. The 6 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses, including the second elder of Qiu clan, Qiu Ji, who was kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to Duan Lingtian, could sense something from the sword strike Duan Lingtian had executed earlier. Based on Duan Lingtian's cultivation base, it was likely that he was not only at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage, he was at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. In Clarity City, there were no powerhouses at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage, let alone the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. For this reason, the 6 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses present on the scene were terrified when they saw Duan Lingtian. This was especially true for Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan, who had wanted to attack Duan Lingtian earlier. When he saw Duan Lingtian's strength and saw Duan Lingtian walking toward him, he broke down in fear. After he broke down, he immediately knelt and kowtowed to Duan Lingtian in an attempt to appease Duan Lingtian's anger. Duan Lingtian could kill him as easily as killing a chicken. Sir. Yes, please spare my life. Please spare my life. Please spare my life. Qiu Ji finally mustered up his courage and begged Duan Lingtian for mercy after kowtowing more than 100 times. Chiu Muqing, Dong Fangzhu, and the 2 ordinary elders from the Eastern Fang clan who were standing nearby were stunned by Qiu Ji's humble attitude. Was the old man kneeling on the ground really the second elder of Qiu clan? The arrogant second elder of Qiu clan actually had such a side to him? Qiu Muqing and the others could not understand Qiu Ji's current state of mind. They were stunned for a long time before they regained their senses. If I'm not mistaken, Duan Lingtian, who had stopped moving when Qiu Ji knelt on the ground and looked at Qiu Ji coldly, finally spoke when Qiu Ji begged for mercy. Chapter 2079. No. Absolutely not. Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan, turned pale when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. His body began to tremble violently as though he was scared out of his wits. Bang, bang, bang. At the same time, Qiu Ji's speed of kowtowing increased. With a loud bang, the floor of the Qiu family's main hall was smashed open by his kowtowing. Ferocious cracks spread out like a giant spider web. The current Qiu Ji had completely tossed his identity and dignity to the back of his mind. There was only one thought in his mind at this moment. He had to survive. As a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, Qiu Ji knew the hardships he had gone through. He had worked hard for hundreds of years to reach where he was today. If he died now, he would be leaving this world forever. His efforts over the past hundreds of years would be in vain. When he thought of this, he was naturally very unwilling to accept this. It should be known that even if his cultivation did not improve, with his current cultivation, it would not be a problem for him to live for another 1,000 years. For this reason, Qiu Ji yearned to live. He had not lived long enough. He still had thousands of years to live. Qiu Ji had thought of this when Duan Lingtian walked toward him in a menacing manner earlier. However, when he was pressured by Duan Lingtian, his mental defenses crumbled completely. At this moment, he did not hesitate to kneel and beg Duan Lingtian for mercy so that he could live. To the current him, as long as he could survive, nothing else mattered. No. Duan Lingtian looked coldly at Qiu Ji, who was kneeling and kowtowing as he begged for mercy. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth as he said calmly, "So you're saying I'm deaf? Or am I blind? Is that so?" Duan Lingtian's tone became heavier as he spoke. After hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Qiu Ji knew that he had made a mistake. He could feel the Duan Lingtian's heavy tone and his heart trembled. He was scared out of his wits. Following that, he kowtowed even harder and begged for mercy. "Sir, I have eyes but fail to recognize Mount Tai. Please spare my life. As long as your excellency is willing to spare my life, I am willing to do anything for your excellency without any complaints. My lord, please spare my life." Spare me? Qiu Ji, whose face was covered in blood, no longer looked like a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. Instead, he looked more like an old servant who had made a mistake. If there was anyone present who could understand Qiu Ji's current feelings, it would be none other than the other 5 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses. The sword strike that Duan Lingtian used to kill Qiu Gangyi, the second master of Qiu clan, had caused them to feel fear from the bottom of their hearts and souls. After that, they no longer dared to make an enemy out of Duan Lingtian. For this reason, they did not look down on Qiu Ji when they saw how cowardly he was in front of Duan Lingtian. Instead, they felt it was normal. "Do you want to do anything for my excellency?" Duan Lingtian asked in a deep voice after he frowned when he heard Qiu Ji begging for mercy. He was getting a little annoyed. Yes. I'm willing to do anything for your excellency." Qiu Ji heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He could sense a turning point in the situation that would allow him to live. "I don't need you to do anything for me." However, Duan Lingtian's words caused Qiu Ji to feel as though he had fallen into an ice cave. He felt chills running up his spine. Qiu Ji felt as though the sky had darkened when Duan Lingtian said, "However, if Sister Qiu wants you to do anything for her, I won't hold it against you." As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, the eldest daughter of the Qiu clan, Qiu Muqing, who was supporting her father, became the center of attention. Qiu Muqing was still shocked by Qiu Ji's performance in front of Duan Lingtian. She was stunned when she heard Duan Lingtian's words and saw many people looking at her. Bang! Before Qiu Muqing could regain her senses, a ghostly figure had already knelt in front of her like a dead dog. Upon closer inspection, one could see it was Qiu Ji who had knelt in front of Duan Lingtian earlier. "Second elder, you." Qiu Muqing was startled. Qiu Muqing was shocked when she saw the second elder, Qiu Ji, who used to be high and mighty, kneeling in front of her. Fear and uneasiness could be seen on her face. It was no wonder Qiu Muqing reacted in such a manner. In the past, as the second elder of Qiu clan and the second strongest person in Qiu clan, Qiu Ji's status in Qiu clan was even higher than the clan leader of Qiu clan. He was only second to the grand elder of Qiu clan. However, today this person whom even her father, Chiu and Ping, the clan leader of the Chiu clan, was afraid of was kneeling in front of a junior of the Chiu clan. Chiu Muqing was shocked. Sister Muqing, from today onward I, Chiu Ji, will be your dog. While Chiu Muqing was still in shock, Chiu Ji said confidently, in the future I'll bite whoever Sister Muqing points at. I won't hesitate for even a second. If you don't believe me, I'll swear on the lightning penalty oath. As soon as Chiu Ji finished speaking, he made his move again. He pricked his finger and a drop of blood rose into the air. As soon as Chiu Ji made the oath, the 99 heavenly tribulation responded. Boom, 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 boom. 9 claps of thunder reverberated in the air. This meant Chiu Ji's oath had been answered. He could not go back on his word unless he wanted to be killed by the lightning penalty. Based on Chiu Ji's actions, one could see he was afraid of death. Since he was bound by the lightning penalty oath, it was only natural he would not do anything that would violate the oath. Second Elder, you don't have to do this. Chiu Muqing was shocked when Chiu Ji said he would be her dog. When she saw Chiu Ji had sworn on the lightning penalty oath, she quickly regained her senses and waved her hand at Chiu Ji. Chiu Muqing had always been respectful to Chiu Ji, the second elder of Chiu clan. She did not dare to slight him at all. However, today, this person whom she had to respect in the past swore on the lightning penalty oath that he would be an obedient dog by her side. How could she accept this? It would be great if she did not have a heart attack. Sister Muqing, I've sworn on the lightning penalty oath. From today onward, I'll follow your orders. Chiu Ji's blood-stained face was expressionless, but between his words, there was a solemn vow, mixed with an unquestionable tone. Elder Sister Chiu, since he wants to be a servant by your side, just let him be. This way, in the future, you will have one more person by your side that you can order around. Duan Lingtian said to Chiu Muqing at the same time. He was satisfied with Chiu Ji's performance. His anger toward Chiu Ji had completely dissipated. Duan? Chiu Muqing turned to look at Duan Lingtian immediately when she heard his words. However, as soon as she opened her mouth, she recalled Duan Lingtian's words. She hastily changed her words and said, Brother Li Feng, I already have many servants and maids around me. You mean you don't lack people to order around? Duan Lingtian asked as he interrupted Chiu Muqing. Yes. Chiu Muqing hesitated for a moment before she nodded. Although she did not know why Chiu Ji, the second elder of Chiu clan, was so afraid of Duan Lingtian, she felt uneasy when she thought about how Chiu Ji wanted to be her servant. If that's the case, there's no need for us to keep him. Duan Lingtian nodded when he heard Chiu Muqing's words. His eyes flashed fiercely as he looked at Chiu Ji. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking and looked at Chiu Ji began to kowtow to Chiu Muqing in a panic. As he kowtowed, he said in a panic, Sister Muqing, please accept me. Please. Chiu Ji no longer had the arrogance he had before. At this moment, he only wanted to be Chiu Muqing's servant so he could continue living. Even if he was humiliated, he was still alive. Muqing, please accept him. At the same time, Chiu and Ping, the clan leader of Chiu clan who was being supported by Chiu Muqing, finally regained his senses. He quickly persuaded Chiu Muqing to accept Chiu Ji as her servant. Looking at Chiu Ji, who had just injured him, Chiu Anping only felt elated. At the same time, he felt like he was dreaming, but he wasn't too surprised. Although Chiu Ji's actions seemed crazy, he could understand why he would do so. After all, with Duan Lingtian's strength, there were only 2 options for Chiu Ji. The first option was death. The second option was to live, but he had to become Chiu Muqing's servant. Father? Chiu Muqing was stunned when she heard her father's words. She did not expect her father would persuade her to accept Chiu Ji as her servant as well. Muqing, your brother Li Feng isn't an ordinary person. You should be grateful that he has done so much for you. Chiu and Ping said to Chiu Muqing through voice transmission. He was trying to persuade Chiu Muqing. He was not an ordinary person. At this moment, no matter how slow Chiu Muqing's reaction was, she could tell Duan Lingtian was not an ordinary person. If he was an ordinary person, how could he have killed Chiu Gangyi, the second master of Chiu clan? How could he have forced Chiu Ji, the second master of Chiu clan, to kneel and beg for mercy and agree to become her servant? From the beginning until the end, even the grand elder of Chiu clan, who was the strongest person in Chiu clan, did not say a word. Clearly. Even the grand elder of Chiu clan, the strongest person in Chiu clan, whom she respected the most, did not even dare to breathe loudly in front of Duan Lingtian. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.